Speaker, education is the only comprehensive and sustainable mechanism to put an end to cattle rustling in the region of Karamoja and Acholi sub-region. Right Honorable Speaker, research shows that there are cumulative benefits of education in ending any conflict. There are clear links between education and child improved ability to protect others. Right Honorable Speaker, indeed, it has been noted that children and young people in Karamoja sub-region who have low education level are the ones who are more involved in cattle rustling than their educated counterparts. Right Honorable Speaker, it is the lack of education that is driving this particular group of poor young people into rustling. Therefore, there are thousands of children and young people in Karamoja right now who are not going to school and they have become professional raiders. Right Honorable Speaker, the raiders would have worked themselves out of poverty and respect and dignity if they were educated. Therefore, we need to use multiple strategies to combat cattle rustling in the Karamoja sub-region. I beg to submit. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Loki John Baptist.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I rise to second the motion under Rule 60, Sub-Rule 1, a motion for a resolution of Parliament urging government to formulate a policy on free, compulsory boarding school education for the Karamoja sub-region. I want to thank Honorable Remigio for moving this motion and honorable colleagues for supporting. Right Honorable Speaker, we are moving this motion for a region whose development indices are very, very low. Talk about education, it's very low, covered the percentage is very low. Health, water, roads, name them, they are very low. The only indices that are high is illiteracy in the region and insecurity, including poverty, which stands at nearly 70% of the people in Karamoja are in extreme poverty. The illiteracy level in Karamoja stands at 66. And Right Honorable Speaker, we cannot just sit and observe part of Uganda remaining lagging behind when the rest of the country is moving forward in as far as education and other aspects of development are concerned. Leaving Karamoja behind has a pull-down effect on the rest of the country. So we must team together and pull this child called Karamoja, which is still lagging behind. And we can only do this on two approaches. The first approach is affirmative action, as enshrined in Article 32(1). Affirmative action for Karamoja as far as education is concerned. And then the rights-based approach, as embedded in Article 30 and Article 34, Clause 1, that every child of school-going age has a right to education. Right Honorable Speaker, some people might argue that we have UPE, we have USE. Why hasn't Karamoja utilized these policies, existing policies, government policies? We are saying yes, the government policy of having a primary school per parish is there. The government policy of having a secondary school per sub-county is there. But when you look at the dynamics therein, you find the distances covered by the learners, these young learners, commuting from their homes to the schools, to either primary school or a secondary school. These are considerable distances which cannot be managed by the learners. So we are saying, if government can have a policy, if we can have a policy to enhance primary boarding education, secondary school education, these young learners can remain at school, stay at school, and finish their education smoothly. There is a destructive effect of moving from your home to school. Along the way, it contributes to absenteeism and increases the dropout rate of the young learners. So having boarding schools for Karamoja sub-region will address this issue. Right, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable, conclude.
Honorable Speaker, we have the practice of female genital mutilation, which is being practiced among the Pokot of Hamudat and among the Tepeth of Moroto district. These children are always in the villages and they are prone to this practice of FGM. So having boarding schools will enable these children to come and stay at school and get profitable education. So, Right Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues, I implore you to support this motion so that government formulates a policy for boarding school education in Karamoja, so that the problems of Karamoja, being it economic, being it education, being it in terms of service delivery, in as far as education is concerned, are addressed once and for all. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Father Nen. Then Dr. Rurume Baiga.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues. Right Honorable Speaker, there's a saying that we cannot wait for the Karamojong to develop, but this regional sitting must take development to Karamoja sub-region. I rise to support the mover of the motion. Right Honorable Speaker, when you look at the members of Parliament and some highly learned Karamojongs, you ask yourself, where did they grow from? Right Honorable Speaker, I started with some Karamojong seminarians, and I learned from them that the Komboni missionaries and other NGOs like UNICEF did a lot to change the mindset of the Karamojong children. The Komboni missionaries and NGOs like UNICEF build schools with the boarding facilities and the school feeding program. And so many Karamojong children were raised because of the boarding facilities and school feeding program. Therefore, we need to support this motion. The government needs to support the Karamojong by building boarding facilities and also raiding and forcing these children to go to school. And secondly, Right Honorable Speaker, the leaders of Karamojong, especially the political leaders, need also to change their style of politics. Because majority during campaign, actually they distribute bullets to the young raiders. And this makes the young raiders to feel that their future are already sorted.
Honorable, that's a very strong statement, because those people should be in prison. They shouldn't be. Can you substantiate it?
Okay.
Yeah, that's a
Thank
very,
you.
very...
Maybe for the interest and for the peace of the nation and my neighbors, I would withdraw that. But this is what normally takes place during campaign.
No, please, Honor. Point of order, Abim.
Order. Thank you. Right Honorable Speaker. I just didn't want to make a point of order to my elder who happened to be well versed with the Bible. Right Honorable Speaker, Karamoja. The move of the motion told you facts about Karamoja on education. But I'm very surprised when they said leaders in Karamoja during campaign distribute bullets in favor of voters. Is my brother by the title Reverend Father, my Vatican priest, is in order to allege that the leaders in Karamoja use bullets to solicit for votes during campaign. Is in order?
Yes, Honorable Mika, I really get you. Had also allowed Honorable Abim, Janeto Kolmo.
Thank you very much.
At once, yeah.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Father Onen is one of the members of Parliament we hold in high esteem because of being a father. Sometimes when we get challenged, we even go to him for prayers. Right Honorable Speaker, Karamoja has 11 ethnic groups recognized by the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda. I have never known of any aspiring candidates or candidates in any election who have been distributing bullets. In any case, all the leaders of Karamoja are pro-peace and pro-development. Is the Honorable Father Onen, who is branding the best rosary during this regional sitting in order to allege that leaders from Karamoja, including me, from the beaming district of Abim, distribute bullets without substantiating? Is he in order?
Thank you. You know, it's very painful because to allege that honorable members are distributing bullets. So, number one, they should be in prison if they are doing that. Honorable Ereru would be having candidates to take to the court martial. Yes, Father.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I withdraw the statement. Thank you.
Honorable Father, thank you. You've made it very easy for me. Because I expect you to intercede for me in heaven. Now if I rule you out of order and you fail to deliver prayers for me. So you've made it very, very easy for us. But let's be cautious with the statements we make, honorable colleagues. Yes, I had just picked Honorable Dr. Rulme Baiga.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable
Let's first
Speaker.
hear the submission. You see, honorable colleagues from northern Uganda on this, you're requesting colleagues from other areas to support you. So that's why I'm trying to pick colleagues outside the north to support you. Yes, Honorable Baiga.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to thank Honorable Remigio for this motion, and he knows that I'm a supporter of the development of Karamoja. We have had a lot of conversation with him and Dr. Loki, who is my OB in Lumumba, about Karamoja. And indeed, there has been a program, Karamoja Development Agency, which is online as one of the agencies which should be done away with. And I wonder whether it had produced any results or any investment had been given to it. Perusing through it, Right Honorable Speaker, it looked quite comprehensive because it was not touching education alone. It was also touching productivity, and especially the mineral wealth which this region has. For the information of honorable members of parliament here, Karamoja can sustain Uganda for about 300 years without us working. It is a home of all types of minerals, including gold, diamond, we have uranium. We can even have a lot of energy if at all we developed these kind of minerals, right, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, Karamoja cannot be seen to be begging us. We should be begging Karamoja to be merciful to us, Ugandans, so that they can feed us for the next 300 years by investing in them so that they can take charge of their region, working together with us to enable Uganda to grow. Therefore, I want to support the motion, but I also want to elicit the response of this country so that the development agency that had comprehensive programs to holistically handle the problems of Karamoja be sustained, be funded, so that the rest of us from the rest of the country can coalesce to see how it can be put into action. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Clerk, please, Hansard team, take note. The apology from Father Onen was registered, but I want to invoke Rule 229 of our Rules of Procedure to have that statement expanded from the record of Parliament. It was a very, very strong and heavy statement. Shouldn't remain on record. I'll pick Honorable Abraham Pitake.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as I rise to amend the motion, I would like to also make a substantive contribution. Mr. Speaker, peace in Karamoja is a prerequisite for socioeconomic transformation in the neighborhood. Like Father Onen said here, for long we said Karamoja, we cannot wait for Karamoja. And because we did not wait for Karamoja, our neighbors have suffered. And I think it's now time that we move together. Mr. Speaker, in the 1960s, it's on record that the Kabaka, Mutesa, sacrificed his whole salary as a king to support education in Karamoja. It's on record. It's also on record that the likes of the Honorable Pulukol, that again Father Onen tried to allude to, went to school through force. The parish chiefs at that time, the Nyamparas, would collect children and take them to school forcefully. But these were not government schools. These were church schools. My late father used to tell me that he would walk from Kotido on Saturday, be in school on Sunday, attend classes up to Wednesday, and walk back to Kotido because there were no boarding schools. And that was Lotome in Napak district. Now, given all these circumstances, Mr. Speaker, we made an effort as Karamojong. We introduced something called alternative basic education for Karamoja. We thought that we needed to help the learners to continue to do their work. Because one thing we found out was that if you remove the boy child or a girl child from the household to take to school, there would be a disequilibrium of labor because each of them has a role to perform. So ABEC was introduced to allow the herds boys to study in the morning after milking the animals before they graze. They go to graze and in the evening. That recorded progress because we produced graduates out of ABEC. Unfortunately, conflicts in the region, cattle rustling, could not allow the mobile school to continue. Now, Mr. Speaker, I would like to make the following amendments to the motion. That besides the idea of having a policy on free and compulsory education, we also would like to urge government to support the Karamoja Peace and Technology University to build a chain to support the education in Karamoja. Karamoja Peace and Technology University is a university that for the first time is going to be established or is in Karamoja with the support of the Catholic Church, the International Catholic Lawyers Association, and the government of Uganda. And President Museveni is the founding chancellor. Now, why should this university be adopted or be included in this motion. As already submitted by the mover of the motion, the children of Karamoja need to get to the schools, but they also need to have the schools that will pick on them. Like Father Onen was saying, where did this educated Karamojong come from? People studied outside Karamoja, and those who studied outside Karamoja were children of chiefs. Those of us whose parents were not chiefs. I remember for 2 years, I used to ride a bicycle from Kotido to NTC Ngeta in order to be in school. How many Karamojong can do that now? So, Mr. Speaker, my proposal to amend the motion is to add the words that to also urge the government to support the Karamoja Peace and Technology University in Karamoja, because it's going to be a catalyst of mindset change. It's going to be a catalyst of economic transformation. And we believe that in the next 10 years, we will have taken 350,000 school-going age children to school, and that will be the joy of Father Onen, because there will then be more Christians coming to seek for penance and prayers from Father Onen. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you.
Additional information?
Additional information. Information first.
No, please.
Information.
Honorable Korik, that's not how I run the House, okay? Please, we have order. You seek permission. You don't get a microphone and you start speaking. Honorable Gilbert Oranya amendment? Other amendment?
Additional information.
Honorable, you don't speak in a microphone without my permission. You first get that permission, then you speak.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, being a teacher by profession, I value education. And the mover of the motion in this paragraph is stated that many of the school dropouts are being recruited into war wood and cattle rustling. Right Honourable Speaker, the mines, we need to change our attitudes first towards education. On this note, I would like to amend the motion to include the adult education. Let those school dropouts who are ever training their children into war, let their mind be changed first positively towards education. Therefore, I move that we include adult education for Karamoja. I beg to move.
We shall vote on all the amendments later. Honorable Norman Zocello.
Mr. Speaker, I apologize for my late attempt to speak before you are given permission, sir. Mr. Speaker, I want just to add some critical information to a greater need for supporting education in Karamoja. Mr. Speaker, insecurity in Karamoja has taken a bit of time. Mr. Speaker and members, successive governments had made a lot of attempts to bring peace in Karamoja. Mr. Speaker, I want to concentrate on why has there been failure. Government after government failed to bring peace in Karamoja. Mr. Speaker and members, this insecurity of Karamoja is caused by the known people. Why it is complicated is it's being caused by people who are known. Why do I say they are known? It is easy to predict who will be a warrior. It is easy to predict because there's a roadblock. You reach a point, either you go to school or you become a raider. There are only two ways in Karamoja. Either you go to school or you become a warrior. You know the function of a warrior. There, no business, no what, no farming, there's drought, everything is in total confusion. So the only chance left is either you go to school and become members here, or you branch to the other school and begin raiding. Now, Mr. Speaker, which means we already know who are the incoming candidate for raiding. Mr. Speaker, these are young children who will fail to go to school. Mr. Speaker, when you hear the Karamojong members of parliament are asking, educate all the Karamojong, that is what they're meaning. They are putting the road into one so that everybody goes to educate themselves and therefore they don't raid. Which means the solution to the problem of Karamoja is one of the simplest, but there have been lack of commitment. Mr. Speaker, we are here to seek for commitment. Commitment. One, once you educate all the Karamojong and Karamoja become peaceful, Mr. Speaker, you'll have solved big problems in Acholi, you'll have solved big problems in Lango, you'll have rescued the Bateso, you'll have sorted the Bagisu, and Basebe also, including international neighbors, they will be resting. Mr. Speaker, it is cheaper to educate the Karamojong so that peace is in Karamoja, to make all neighbors rest. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to add my voice that Kapato University, Karamoja University Peace and Technology, is sensitive, has been tailor-made in order to suit the circumstances in Karamoja at the moment. You can have all these universities, Karamoja will never go there. But Kapatu is a new university being developed, arising out of the situation in the region. It is my prayer, Mr. Speaker and members, that for this parliament and the record, that they have sorted the problem of Karamoja by educating the Karamojong. So I support that Kapatu University be supported by government of Uganda so that it can answer the precurrent problems in the region. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Norman, this is what the President was talking about yesterday when he was saying we support him on his efforts for free education. Now what we are waiting for is a blueprint from government on which kind of support they want from Parliament. Is it budgetary support? They are going to propose, put money in the budget.
Budgetary support.
You know, so we are waiting for government guidance. Minister of Education. Honorable, I call further amendment. Let me first get further amendment from Honorable Anton Akor. And then the rope conclude, then Minister conclude. Honorable colleagues, I guided at the beginning, we have to finish by 4 p.m. So these are the last 3 submitted. Honorable Anton Akor, access the microphone.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I support the motion with amendment, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, when you look at the results of primary living examinations, in the top classes you will see, in the top performance, you will see the private schools, then you will see other sub-regions, then top down you will see the West Nile, Acholi, Lango, and Karamoja now down at the top. Right Honorable Speaker, my amendment is looking at the justification has been people joining warrior and those going for teenage pregnancy. That means we should be dealing with upper classes other than talking about boarding section right from down. That is one amendment. Secondly, it should capture West Nile, Acholi, Lango, because the problem is not only in Karamoja, but also affecting these other sub-regions. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Bwanika.
Right Honorable Speaker, Karamoja holds one of the most brilliant human beings on the face of the earth. I have had the opportunity to teach. I taught Dr. Loki. I taught another Karamoja person who holds one of the records as being the best, the most brilliant veterinary doctor that has ever passed through Makerere, called Dr. Irukor. In 2011, while I was campaigning in Matani, I picked a young boy called Alex Rocheli. He was in P6 by then. I supported him, I took him to Kampala, I paid his school fees. Now he has graduated with BBA and is working in Moroto. These people in Karamoja, those young people, they are only missing opportunity to go to school. And we must support them. I interacted recently, 2 weeks ago, when the speaker sent us to Karamoja. I interacted with the LOC chairperson of NAPAC. NAPAC has 59 parishes. Only 22 have got primary schools, only 22. 37 of the parishes of NAPAC,
they don't have a primary school. NAPAC produces 80% of the children who are on the streets in Kampala because they don't have education. I'm very supportive that we don't only provide compulsory boarding education, but also we provide schools all over Karamoja. There should be a project and affirmative action which should help Karamoja people to go to school. We are losing brains which would have innovated. Very brilliant people in Karamoja. Right, Honorable Speaker, I stand to support this motion and it should be with urgency.
Thank you. I hope those people supported you when you went there for. Because you did a fantastic job. So just before I allow the Minister for Education, there is a Minister for Karamoja. Can just get one piece of statement. Then the sector-specific issues are left to the Minister for Education. Yeah. Honorable Rokareis. Colleagues, I've received very many requests from you, but I have an order paper to manage. All these issues are very, very critical. So please, you'll have to bear with me so that I go back on the order paper. We go to other items. Minister for Karamoja, 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, I will be speaking to tell you an example of a person who comes to school and gets that there was a boarding school and he starts fearing to go home, and now he's a minister. The first time myself, one time, my own father told me to drive a bull with him to go and sell in order for him to pay poll tax at that time. So we moved. In the morning we passed near, I think that was then a school, where I saw children, very many. Then I asked my father, I said, where are these children, too many here, near Mabati houses? He said, there is something called a school. A school? Yes. What will they become in the future? He told me, these people, when they will study, when they grow up, they become drivers, they become chiefs. I mean, he said, like the chiefs who have forced you to bring the bull here. Yes. I said, that's very good. Then they say, in the evening, when now they rest, they go and take tea. He used to give me as some tea, something like chai, and it was very sweet. When I had, I said, yes, I will come here because of the tea to study with these people. Imagine, from that time, we went back. I asked him, I want to go. He was delaying. I decided to run away myself. When I went there, I was welcomed. There was a boarding school by the missionaries. I started staying there. It was only 1 month. They said, there is all day. I said, now, where will I go? Those people will beat me for having abandoned their cows. Then the priest told me, no, they are building a church here. You come and help in carrying bricks. I was young. I would only carry 2. So all the time I was there, I stayed with them very well. If there was no school of that type, where you come freely, you eat, you sleep, it was boarding, I wouldn't be here. And from that time, I continued. In fact, I didn't pay any school fees up to senior 4. Up to senior 4, the rest came by themselves. So to say for Karamoja, pre-primary and boarding education is very important. All these people who are now reading, running around, if they were educated like us, they wouldn't be there. We would have reduced raiders completely. So now, the rest of the country is moving. We better move the country together in a unified manner. In maybe 20 years' time, when there is mindset change, then other things can now relax. But by now, it is high time we sweep all of them from the villages and we educate them, give them free and compulsory education. The whole country will just be safe, automatic. You change their mind and we move. These people are getting jobs, they are getting alternative ways of livelihood, and that will be the end.
Thank you,
and I am
Minister.
very happy all of you are supporting. We are Ugandans. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, Honourable Minister, because you see, this is a motion. Please take your seat. Yes. This is a motion where we are limited by the law as Parliament, Article 93 of the Constitution. That's why you're seeing it's a motion for urging, meaning we are sending it to you in Cabinet. So when you reach in Cabinet, please give that example you've had and push harder so that it can be supported, as it has a financial implication. Honourable Minister of Education.
Thank you so much. Right, Honorable Speaker. I want to thank my colleague for presenting this motion. Permit me, Mr. Speaker, to first of all make the mandate of the Ministry of Education very clear. The mandate is to provide quality education for all children in Uganda, and I'm happy that the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, Article 30, stipulated that education is a fundamental right for our children. In that spirit, Mr. Speaker, the President of the Republic of Uganda, General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, to ensure all our children have right to education, brought on board the universal education for our children, primary in 1997 and secondary in 2007. And the principle and the spirit of the universal education is to leave no child behind. And there should be no barriers for our children to access education, Mr. Speaker. As a result of universal education that was brought on board, the enrollment of our children in schools increased drastically. For instance, in 1995, when UPE was brought on board, from 2.5, the enrollment rose to 5.3 in 1998. Thereafter, in 2023, it went to 8.5, and today we are speaking about 10.9 million learners enrolled in primary education. This is because of the principle of universal education. And the principle is to increase access to education, especially to the disadvantaged children. And also, the design in that principle is to construct classrooms, sanitation facilities for primary administrative block, while secondary has ICT block, multipurpose hall, and science block. There was no provision for boarding facilities in terms of dormitories and what it takes to have a boarding facility. Mr. Speaker, despite all this high enrollment in universal education, we as education fraternity have seen challenges in terms of high rates of dropout, uncoordinated charges of fees, climate changes that has caused problems for children to access school, the floods, the destructions in our school. We've seen violence against children and overcrowding in classes. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Education indeed recognized the challenges that are unique in areas in Karamoja region, in island communities, where we have seen children coming to school using boats, using canoes. We've seen challenges in areas that are prone to disasters. As a result of floods, we see day scholars not able to cross the river, to cross the bridge. We see day scholars not able to cross the river, to cross the bridge, Mr. because Speaker, of disaster in those places. Mr. Speaker, last year on 17th of March 2023, Cabinet, under the chair of His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, approved a document that was presented by Mama Janet, the Minister of Education and Sports. And it is about government implementing free and compulsory universal education for all our children in Uganda. Starting with the primary education, then we move to secondary education. And this will bring on board issues to do with increment in enrollment, recruitment of teachers, funds to increase capitation grants and what have you. And Mr. Speaker, we are to start with primary, then move to secondary. And because the funds that needed to start this free and compulsory education went up to over 300 billion, we had to prioritize with the upcoming AFCON activities in the country. Mr. Speaker, in that meeting, my colleague, the Minister of Karamoja Affairs, was there. My colleague, Honorable Anyakun, who ably articulated the issues of Karamoja and challenges of disaster-prone places and island communities. And it was discussed with the proposal of granting affirmative action, special consideration for Karamoja, for islands that are like the ones we know, and the disaster-prone places. And the special affirmative action is to be specifically on boarding section. That comes on board together with the compulsory free universal education for all. I recall very vividly this was discussed, and the president himself saw the challenges in Karamoja and indeed recommended that the ministry should further discuss these challenges, and we see to it that the best solutions could be provided for those specific areas as we move to implement the universal compulsory education. Mr. Speaker, I welcome the motion, but I will wish it is not only limited to Karamoja. As Cabinet looked at it, Karamoja is not alone. We have the disaster-prone places, like I talk about the island. I talk about the disaster-prone places. So that is what Cabinet is looking at. But Mr. Speaker, permit me for this Parliament to appreciate the overall enrollment in our country, together with the national statistics. Because when we speak, we need to speak on evidence-based information. We need to speak on scientific information. On primary enrollment, Mr. Speaker, as Uganda, we have got a total of 10,976,773. This is as of June 2024, the enrollment of primary children in Uganda. The total number of primary schools in Uganda, we have 43,534. The teachers that is being captured under the IMIS, we have 196,364. The distribution for northern region, actually, the total enrollment in primary school in Acholi, we have 544,434, which represent 4.86% of the total enrollment. If you permit me, Mr. Speaker, I just want to give the percentage. Lango, the enrollment represents 7.17% of the national enrollment. West Nile represents 10.2% of the national enrollment. Karamoja represents 2.02% of the national enrollment. And in total, The northern region, Mr. Speaker, represents 24.35% of the total enrolled children in the country. In terms of primary schools, the northern region, the total number of primary schools in northern Uganda stands at 11.49%.
The minister is giving you information. So I don't know what's wrong with information. You might disagree with the information, okay? But giving information is not wrong. So let the minister, Honorable Betty Amdat, what is your procedure matter?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. My procedural matter is that thank you, the Minister, for the presentation, but I'm pissed up because she's bringing the information when we are just laying our motion about the Highland people. Right Honorable Speaker, in a program or when a government wants to start a program, it is good to have what we call piloting areas. It will be our plea to the government to consider Karamoja as a piloting center because we have a lot of problems. Members understand the situation we are in. The agencies, we are now, there's peace in Karamoja. Why can't we settle and find out what can be done to bring the region
What
to
is
be
your
seen?
procedure,
Thank
Madam
you.
Honorable? Okay. Thank you. Now, Honorable colleagues, please. We have submitted, and I requested the minister to give a response to our submissions. These are her views and views of the ministry. You might disagree with the views, but she's entitled to those views and clarifications from her side. So let the minister give the submission. You might disagree with the information, but she's a minister. Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you so much. I gave this information as of 17th March 2023, what was discussed in Cabinet about free and compulsory education and proposal for affirmative action for Karamoja, island community and disaster. It is something that was discussed last year in Cabinet. Thank you to allow me to proceed. Mr. Speaker, I was talking about the enrollment of our children, the national enrollment vis-a-vis the region of northern Uganda, and the total number of teachers we have in this region vis-a-vis the national position and the number of primary schools. In total, to make the matter short, the northern region has 21.49% of the total teachers in the country. In terms of primary schools, the northern region has a percentage of 11.49. That is the statistics that we have for primary enrollment for Acholi, Lango, West Nile, Karamoja, and northern Uganda. For the secondary education, Mr. Speaker, as of June 2024, from our EMIS data, Uganda has enrolled a total of 1,710,403 students in secondary education. Out of that, the teachers in Uganda in secondary school, we have 71,918, while the schools of secondary education in Uganda is 7,466.
But Honourable Minister, you see, you are not responding to the motion. The motion was requesting you. In fact, you are responding to the petition which is an item that we have not yet handled. You're on item number 3, and yet we are handling number 5. So the issue is about boarding. They are requesting you that can you introduce boarding facilities in Karamoja as a government. Simple.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you so much. I thought I could come to that the last, but let me straight away go to that area. As I gave the background for the principles of universal education, which does not cater for boarding section, Mr. Speaker, my ministry indeed gives permission for schools that will wish to operate as a boarding section only after meeting the required minimum standard and the basic requirement for a boarding section. A study was done and we found out, Mr. Speaker, quite a number of boarding schools that are running boarding schools are not meeting the minimum standards in terms of the boarding facilities. Over 52.5% of boarding facilities have not met the minimum standard. They don't have the required place for the boarding schools. They do not meet the standard for sanitation, and the electrical installations equally is wanting. And of course, there are many gaps that have been found out for those boarding sections. Because of the gaps that are glaring in boarding sections, my ministry is still studying the proposal, as I said, that was discussed in cabinet to ensure some special considerations for some regions to have a boarding facility.
Thank you.
This is because...
Honourable Minister, I've run out of time.
Thank you. So I beg to submit that we still be given time to study, carry out, so that we present the finding to cabinet before bringing to Parliament. Thank you.
Honourable colleagues, I now put the question that the motion for a resolution of Parliament urging government formulate a policy on free compulsory boarding school education for the Karamoja sub-region be adopted with proposed amendments. Those in favour say aye, and to the contrary nay. The ayes have it. Honourable Minister, I think 6 months are sufficient as per our rules of procedure, Rule 220. We give you 6 months to report back to Parliament telling us the action you would have taken so far. This is a motion urging, so when you develop a policy, then you go into seeing how best you can implement it. Honourable members in the VIP gallery this morning, we have Honourable Atiku Bernard, former MP Ayivu County, Ms. Amongin Jane Francis, RCC Gulu City, Mr. Peter Banga, Deputy RCC Gulu City, Mr. Opio Moses Kao Abim, Mr. Ojok Samuel Kitanga, District Speaker Agago, Mr. Ochen Bosco, District Speaker Kitigum, Honorable Nangiro John Nakapiripriti, District Chairperson, Colonel Retired Oboya Oyat, Padero District Chairperson, Mr. Orach Emmanuel, LC5 Noya District Local Government Chairperson, and Mr. Obite Stephen, LC5 Chairperson, Maracha District. They've come to observe proceedings of this House. Please join me once again in welcoming them. Thank you. Next item.
Item 3 on the other paper, presentation of petition on the low net enrollment and completion rates in primary and secondary schools and challenges in accessing tertiary and university education in northern Uganda.
Honorable Pio Samuel.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. And as we've noted in the just previous discussion, the issue of education is not just a challenge in Karamoja, but a problem in West Nile, Acholi, and Lango as well. And I hereby move under Rule 30 on a petition on the low enrollment and completion rates in primary and secondary schools and challenges in accessing tertiary and university education in northern Uganda. This is the humble petition of stakeholders of Chess Foundation, represented by Honorable Pio Samuel Achuri, MP Kole North, and states that your humble petitioners are members of Chess Foundation, a community-based organization established to undertake interventions to drive socio-economic development, including provision of educational services and support within the communities that it operates within northern Uganda. Article 30 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda guarantees the right to education, and Objective 18 of the National Objectives and Principles of State Policy enjoins the state to promote free and compulsory basic education and take appropriate measures to afford every citizen equal opportunity to attain the highest educational standards possible. The Education Pre-Primary, Primary, and Post-Primary Act of 2008 emphasizes that basic education shall be provided and enjoyed as a right by all persons, and provides for the objective of the Act to give full effect to the Universal Primary Education Policy and full effect to the Universal Post-Primary Education and Training Policy of Uganda. The fundamental right to education is also affirmed by a number of international and regional instruments that Uganda has ratified, including the International Covenant on Economic and Social and Cultural Rights. The government of Uganda has made commitments in the National Development Plan 3 and Sustainable Development Goals 2030 under the theme Leaving No One Behind, where specifically SDG 4 seeks to ensure the provision of free, quality, equitable, and inclusive education for all. Government has taken measures to ensure access to education for all through both universal primary education and universal secondary education programs that have increased access to education by millions of children. However, despite these interventions, Northern Uganda region, which comprises the sub-regions of West Nile, Acholi, Lango, and Karamoja, abbreviated as WOC, continue to face significant challenges in accessing education. The Uganda National Household Survey 2020 by UBOS showed that primary school and secondary school net enrollment in Northern region as the lowest in the country and below the national average. Net average enrollment in primary school in the region was at 68.65% against the national average of 80%. Karamoja stands at the lowest at 42.1%, implying that out of every 100 children of primary school going age in Karamoja, only 42 are enrolled. 58 are out of school and have been left behind. Net enrollment in secondary school was at 7.2% in Acholi, 12.1% in Karamoja, 14.3% in West Nile, and 14.5% in Lango sub-region, less than half the national average of 27.3%, with some regions having enrollment rates as high as 46.2% and 52.3%, more than 3 times the WOC region statistics. These statistics, in effect, show that in Northern region, on average, out of every 100 persons of official secondary school going age between 13 to 18 years, only 12 are enrolled in secondary education, with 88 persons not able to have access and have been left behind. Furthermore, in regard to primary education, anecdotal evidence suggests that the P7 completion rates are also way below the national average of 61.6%. with some districts reporting completion rates as low as 30%. This implies again that in such districts, for every 100 children who commence P1, only 30 will reach P7, while 70 will drop out and be left behind. Whereas access to tertiary and university education is not yet well documented, reports indicate that it is equally low due to the low enrollment at the primary and secondary level. As a result of the limited access to primary, secondary, and tertiary education, the communities in northern Uganda have not fully utilized employment and career opportunities available within the various public and private sectors, even for jobs that require minimum qualifications such as O-level and A-level, among others. This has hindered the socio-economic transformation of the region and partly contributed to the high poverty levels due to limited income diversification. Lastly, the Uganda National Household Survey noted that education was the key determinant in exposing one to employment opportunities, with the results showing that majority of those without education or had attained only some primary education were engaged in subsistence agriculture, while those who completed primary and other higher education levels were mostly in employment. Lango sub-region, for example, had the least population in employment at 20% across the country against a national average of 52.1%. Now, therefore, your humble petitioners pray that, 1, an inquiry is made on the causes of the below average and low net enrollment in primary education and low completion rates in the sub-regions of Lao, Acholi, West Nile, and Karamoja. 2, an inquiry is done on the causes of the below average and low net enrollment rates in secondary education in the sub-regions of West Nile, Acholi, Lango, and Karamoja. 3, an inquiry is done on the status of access to tertiary and university education in the sub-regions of West Nile, Acholi, Lango, and Karamoja. Lastly, interventions and an affirmative action be developed and funded for each of the sub-regions to address the low net enrollment in primary and secondary education and low completion rates of primary education, alongside challenges in accessing tertiary and university education. And your humble petitioners, as in duty bound, will ever pray. And hereto appended are your humble petitioner signatures as attached. Right Honourable Speaker, I beg to submit, and I hereby lay this petition. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable. Honourable, just looking at the prayers, most of these, they require government intervention direct. So I'll invoke my powers under Rule 30, Sub-Rule 6, and refer the petition to the Minister for Education for handling and reporting back within 6 months. Thank you. Honourable colleagues, this is a reminder that as you come in, ensure that you clock in onto our system, that you register in short for your attendance today. Next item.
Item 4 on the other paper. Motion for adoption of the report of the Sectoral Committee on Tourism, Trade and Industry on the state and prospects of tourism sites in northern Uganda.
Honourable Chair, Committee. What is going to be presented by our young and energetic and brilliant Vice Chairperson, Honourable Court Boniface.
Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable colleagues, warm regards from the youth of Uganda and congratulations for the regional sitting. I beg to lay, Right Honourable Speaker, a report of the Sectoral Committee on Tourism, Trade and Industry on the state and prospects of tourism sites in northern Uganda and the attendant minutes. I beg to lay, Right Honourable Speaker.
Honourable, you're guided to just give a little bit introduction. You got observations so that we can save time for members to contribute to the debate.
Much obliged, Right Honorable Speaker. As guided, pursuant to Rules 159C and 189E of the Rules of Procedure, the Sector Committee on Tourism, Trade and Industry between the 13th and 15th August 2024 conducted a field activity to appraise the state of the following tourist sites and to consider related matters. The first one is Kabalega and Mwanga Monumental Site in Dokolo, Baalonyo Massacre Site in Lira, Mary Mother of the Church Shrine in Icheme Oyam, Abok Massacre Site in Oyam, Sir Samuel Becker's Fort Patiko, Gulu, Amuru Hot Springs in Amuru District. The committee also acknowledges and prioritizes for subsequent oversights the heritage sites in Gulu Hills, Amuru, Napak Fossil Site in Napak, Emin Pasha Fort Site in Wadalai, Pakwach, Karamoja Museum in Moroto, Dufile Heritage Site in Moyo, Tieno Loom Footprints in Ibuja Kokoro in Lao, Palabek in Lamuo, Lototoro in Lamuo, Agoro Hills in Acholi, Abia Memorial Site in Lao, Nziri Tomb in West Nile, Winam All Palace in West Nile, Arua Museum in West Nile. Those are 19 sites in total. The terms of references are already indicated. To save time, I'll go straight to methodology. I'll also not go through it, but it's important to mention, Right Honorable Speaker, that the committee conducted a desk review on a comparative analysis of investments in tourism sites in 3 East African community countries. And one, the committee noted that for the management and administration of museums and monuments in Uganda, we are guided by the Museums and Monuments Act of 2023. Right Honorable Speaker, Uganda also has a tourism policy of 2015 which prioritizes 4 areas: national parks, cultural heritage sites, Lake Victoria, mountains, and community-based tourism. The focus of this report is on cultural heritage sites. Under 4.2, we also compared the tourist visits in museums and monuments in East Africa. And we noted that in 2022, Tanzania recorded 1,223,583 tourist visits. Kenya recorded 856,604 tourist visits in museums and monuments. But Uganda recorded only 67,366 tourist visits. And this underperformance raised concerns given that Uganda is comparatively endowed with a rich cultural and natural heritage. And we also have numerous sites and monuments. In total, there are about 614 throughout the country. The committee under 4.3 also did a comparative analysis on the expenditure or the amount of investments in tourism, especially with a focus on cultural and natural heritage. And we noted that Uganda, in the financial year 2020-2021, invested 4.29 billion, but in the budget of financial year 2023-2024, we've now invested 9 billion, but which is still comparatively lower than the rest of the East African countries. In terms of revenues, which is on 4.5, in between 2016 and 2020, Uganda only got from visits in monuments and museums US dollars 127,747. And that in that year, the whole tourism sector only got revenues of $1 billion US. Kenya got about 11.2 million during that period. So comparatively, we also get much lower revenues. I'll go straight, Right Honorable Speaker, to general observations and recommendations of the committee. 5.1, which is on page 12. Inadequate tourism infrastructure. Right Honorable Speaker and members, during the field visit, the committee established inadequacy of key tourism infrastructure to support, boost, and sustain tourism at tourism sites. Notably among the infrastructure were roads that were almost impassable to the sites, which would inhibit smooth movement of tourists from metropolitan areas to site location. The committee further observed that with the exception of Mary Mother of the church shrine in Ichemoyam, all other sites visited had no major or significant iconic and impressive features to welcome tourists. Balonyo massacre site and Abok massacre sites, for instance, did not have graphic images, artifacts, and expressions that would depict the incidents of the massacre. Such graphic images, among others, create lasting impressions and memories among the visitors. Some sites visited by the committee were not even connected to national grid of utility services like water and electricity, and even toilet facilities at the sites were in deplorable conditions, while in others they were even non-existent. Recommendations of the committee. The committee recommends, number 1, that the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities should, in collaboration with key stakeholders, take deliberate measures to budget for the development and improvement of key infrastructure with the view of boosting tourism at the sites. And 2, the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities should champion interministerial collaboration for development of key infrastructures at the sites under the Tourism Development Program. 5.2, which is on ownership of land at the tourist sites, the committee observed that there was no proof of ownership of land on which some tourism sites are located, as the case is with Amuro Hot Springs, Sir Samuel Becker's fort in Patiro, Gulu. The committee was informed by the State Minister of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities that the ministry had signed a memoranda of understanding with local governments where some of the sites are located, like the case of Balonyo Massacre site and for Kabalega and Mwanga monument site. And the land was yet to be transferred, the land title was yet to be transferred to the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities. The committee further observes that absence of land titles for all these tourist sites visited may attract third-party interests. Recommendation of the committee is that the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities should engage with relevant government institutions to expedite the processing of land titles where the aforementioned sites are located. 5.3, the need to collect, verify, process, and document verbal history on the tourist sites. The committee observed that there was a general lack of documented literature on the history of each tourist site that was visited. The only information that was available was in verbal form and largely inconsistent. The committee was concerned that the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities has not acted fast enough to collect, verify, process, and document such verbal information. Yet chances of losing persons having such invaluable verbal information are so high and inevitable. The committee was informed by the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities that whereas there are persons with vast knowledge and historical information on sites, the ministry has a department of museums and monuments where key information on sites is archived, and that further documentation of other information on the sites would be handled concurrently with the development of the sites. However, the committee notes with concern that the development of these sites are long-term plans. Yet the individuals with such rich historical information are mortal, may lose their memory, shift residences or die. Thereby, government and the people of Uganda losing out on such rich historical information. The committee recommends that the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities should prioritize and expedite the process of collecting, verifying, processing, and documentation of verbal history on each tourist site, regardless of its long-term plans to physically develop these sites. 5.4, budget allocations. The committee observed from discussions held with the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities that save for Kabalega and Mwanga cultural heritage site that received 3 billion Uganda shillings out of the Uganda shillings 14 billion total project costs this financial year 2024-2025. All other sites are unfunded. For example, Fort Patiho with 12 billion, Balonyo Massacre site 4 billion, Amuru Hot Springs 10, Mary Mother of the Church Shrine 2, Abok 1 billion, and maintenance of the sites about 4 billion shillings. Recommendations of the committee recommends that considering the fact that Uganda's tourism sector has great potential of contributing to Uganda's gross domestic product, GDP, government should prioritize and allocate adequate budget lines to develop the aforementioned sites. 5.5, tourism promotion and marketing strategies. Right Honorable Speaker and members, from observations that the committee held, from discussions that the committee held with the ministry, the committee observes that there is limited popularization and implementation of the Museums and Monuments Strategy 2023-2030, the Explore Uganda campaigns, and other promotions conducted by Uganda Tourism Board to promote and market the sites, and also encourage or facilitate effective stakeholder participation. The committee recommends that the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities should develop more robust and innovative campaigns domestically and internationally to promote and market these sites through collaborations and strategic partnerships. 5.6, community involvement and benefits. The committee observed that government has not effectively involved communities neighboring these tourist sites to appreciate and make innovations that will promote tourism and also generate income for themselves. The committee was informed by the Minister of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities that the ministry plans to construct craft centers at the sites and to involve communities in music, art, dance and drama. The committee recommends that the ministry should provide an enabling environment to support community-led tourism and economic initiatives in and around the sites, and should provide relevant training and resources to the communities. 5.7, absence of captivating graphical expressions and animations at the tourist sites. The committee observed that some tourist sites visited do not have adequate infrastructure or even modern state-of-the-art facilities, artifacts and information necessary to stimulate visitor experience and create among them lasting impressions of their visits. The Balonyo Massacre site, Abok Massacre site, Samuel Baker's fort in Patiho should at least have captivating graphic expressions and images to depict incidences that happened at the site. The committee recommends that the ministry should urgently collaborate with academia, graphic designers, local developers, the private sector, and content creators to produce high-quality, captivating graphic expressions and animations to recreate patterns of thoughts about these sites and their history. 5.8, on staffing, the committee observed that the ministry has endeavored to promote local content through employment of locals as site attendants, tour guides, and research assistants. However, the committee noted that staffing numbers at the site are still inadequate. The committee recommends that the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities should continue to prioritize the recruitment of adequate local staff and mainstream them into public service structures. 6, on specific observations of the committees.
Thank you, Chair. You've given us an area view because I read through your report. When you go to the specific ones, they feed into the general ones. Yeah, there is nothing that is not covered under general. So I would propose that we save time by giving members a chance to submit, but the whole report will be captured on the Hansard.
Okay.
You want to conclude?
Yeah, sure. In conclusion, Right Honorable, the committee conducted the field activity and is convinced that Uganda has immense untapped potentials for tourism. The committee therefore urges government to expeditiously profile and develop the sites into captivating tourism destinations that will meaningfully boost the economic gains from the tourism sector, thereby increasing on Uganda's revenue base. Right Honorable Speaker and members, I beg to submit.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, Honorable Azar, Honorable Judith Achan, Honorable Timothy. Honorable, information is only when you have a member holding a floor. Please. Woman MP O2K and a PP. I'm going to give you a chance, Honorable colleague, but let's use a short time so that we can capture as many colleagues as possible.
Thank you, Right Honorable.
Thank you.
No, I started with the Honorable Chan.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. I want to thank the committee for these elaborate reports. Right Honorable Speaker, I would like to interest the committee that if we are promoting tourism, we should look at also the challenges that brings down the revenue that we get from the tourism sites. Right Honorable Speaker, I come from Noya District. And in Noya District, we always get a lot of challenges where our youth go for poaching. Why? It's because most of the time when they go to dig in the gardens, Right Honorable Speaker, the elephants cross to their gardens and destroys all the crops. And Right Honorable Speaker, couples with so many issues that we've already been having, with no compensation, yet in 2019, the Uganda Wildlife Act provides for compensation for all the victims of these human-wildlife conflicts, Right Honorable Speaker. It affects, we love tourism, and it's contributing to Noya District and the development of Noya District. Let us also look at these challenges and issues that interferes with our revenue collections, because we also don't want our youth to go poaching. But there is no options, Right Honorable Speaker. I am a promoter of tourism, but let us also look into this nitty-gritty of compensation. Noya District has not received any compensation, but we've lost so many lives. Just on 25th, Right Honorable Speaker, I lost a child by the name Mutimungu, a primary 6 with a promising life in the village called Obira in Gotafoyo sub-county, Right Honorable Speaker. Let us think of human being as well as also protecting the species that is also promoting development in the country, Right Honorable Speaker. Second, lastly, Right Honorable Speaker, of late, the route from Karumba has been diverted to my district, Nwaya. But as these buses and all these passenger vehicles pass through the parks, Right Honorable Speaker, there is limited toilets. That's why I said I want to thank the committee for raising that issues. The toilets that are put there, it's not enough. And second, the bus owners should also put in the dustbin within the bus so that the passengers do not litter in the park all those garbages that they use within the while they are traveling. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to support the committee and the recommendation that we increase the toilet facility for sanitation in tourism sites. I beg to submit.
Thank you, Honorable Azar.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker and the members of the August House. Thank you very much for the report, the committee members. Mr. Speaker, I would like to advocate for domestic tourism. We have domestic tourism, we have national tourism, we have international tourism. In the West Nile, in general, and in Madisa region in particular, we have some more significant and important tourist sites which, if exploited, can contribute to job creation, foreign exchange earnings, heritage conservation, as well as social cohesion. And these are some of the tourist aspects in West Nile and Madisa region. 1, Fort Dufele. Fort Dufele along the bank of River Nile. It was a military fort established by Sir Charles Gordon, the governor of Equatorial Province, in 1874. Then it was later occupied by Emini Pasa. And that place has been a transit route for slaves, for the Karatumas. Slaves will be collected from Macholi sub-region, from as far as Bunyoro and Buganda, and is transited through Fort Dufele. If this place is exploited, Mr. Speaker, we'll get a lot of money from there. We have Mount Oche Forest Reserve. We have the Madi and the Lukbara culture, the Lukbara curry, and so on. We have the trees, the forests. We have the mountains, the mountain Oche, for trekking and hiking, bird watching, sight viewing, primate viewing, nature walks, camping, photography. We have the River Nile. We have Kotelu Sacred Forest for burial of kings. King Chief Rendike's subjects used to be buried in that place. The Aulogo Monument, the Cock, the Aipe Central Forest, the Angelus Foot and Ini, Ilingwa Hill, Mount Nyeri, Mount Ilo, and then the elephants. Mr. Speaker, lastly.
Honorable colleague, listen to guidance. You see, when you're debating a committee report, your debate should be specific to observations and recommendations. These are issues which we should have written to the minister a long time ago as a member of parliament.
Most obliged, Right Honorable Speaker. Otherwise, lastly, we have challenges of human-wildlife conflict in this place. Elephants normally roam about from Nimule National Park, from the Sudan. They come and destroy crops and houses and everything in our area. Otherwise, funds must be increased for tourist activities, facilities increased, amenities increased, roads improved upon. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Timozigu, then Honorable Susanna Beja.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thank the committee for recommending that government should timely invest in these heritage sites. Tourism has already been identified as one of the best sources of foreign exchange in Uganda. We have not invested enough, and government is business because we collect revenue and spend. And when we do not invest enough in tourism, we shall add little, which means we shall leave the potential of tourism untapped. And in that case, we shall be exposing ourselves to borrowing year in, year after. Therefore, I thank the committee and I propose that the Ministry of Tourism should consider investing in tourism more than they have been doing it, and the minister should be assertive and bold in cabinet meetings, ensure that the president also buys our proposal. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Susanna Beja.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I would also love to appreciate the committee on their report, but also on their recommendation that government should support tourism site. I would like to implore my younger son that the most original...
Honorable, here we don't have children in Parliament.
Thank
We
you,
have
Right
members of
Honorable.
Parliament.
Thank you, Right Honorable. Just to inform him that the only regional site of tourism in Lango sub-region, it's Gototuke. I was surprised when I heard him not mentioning Gototuke, yet it has even been chosen as the site where the only one Nyashi which is going to be coronated in Gototuke. So you are not a child, I've forgiven you, but please include that before you submit. Otherwise, God is seeing you.
Thank you. Honorable
Right.
PP.
Right, Honorable.
No, Honorable colleagues.
Information.
Yes, Honorable colleagues. Information is given to a member to enrich their submission. Your colleague didn't give you space. Okay. So, Honorable Okino Jara.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I would like to thank the chairperson of the committee for a well-deserved, report. I think the report had gotten so many key recommendations and then also observation. I want to thank you for that. Mr. Speaker, I have seen the report did not take care of what we term cultural tourism. When you look, for example, in the culture and tradition of the Acholi people, we have almost a variety of cultural activities that can be supported to promote tourism locally and also internationally. The Acholi, for example, have over 22 different types of dances. And then a number of songs. Coupled with that, they have also cuisines that can be prepared, which can also promote what we would call food tourism. I think we are enjoying this variety of food here, and there are many more that could actually be invested in, and then we would actually be able to promote cultural tourism. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, sir, we have had also the committee not mentioning the issue of trade. We have seen recently there is a significant rise of food prices and prices of commodities. And yet this committee deals with the issue of trade. We have not seen in the report, and we hope...
Honorable, their terms of reference were clear, and they are in the report.
I have not seen in the report the significant rises of prices.
So what are you debating? If you... Honorable, listen, the terms of reference of the committee were very specific on tourism and tourism sites.
No problem.
We didn't include trade.
It's okay because the committee it is in charge of trade, industry, and then tourism. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, sir, I have a humble, simple petition from Kitgum NGO Forum, which stipulates the challenges of wildlife in Kitgum district, the challenges of elephant, the challenges of the game park, which is situated in the eastern side of Acholi sub-region. I would like to lay this on table to inform the committee and beef up the recommendations that he has so far mentioned.
Honorable,
so I would like to read...
Honorable petitions are referred to the House under Rule 30, Sub-Rule 2 of our Rules of Procedure.
I would say a research document.
That's not how we work, Honorable, please. Honorable Betawol?
Can I lay on table?
Please, that's not how we work. You said you have a petition. Refer to Rule 30, Sub-Rule 2 of our Rules of Procedure. Here we work through rules, Honorable.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I would like to also thank the committee for the very good report. You know, with the tourism, much as tourism is able to bring something to us, but we allocate very minimum resources comparatively. For us here in the north, efforts have not been made to develop the tourist sites. I would like to also remind the committee on Aru Falls. Aru Falls is loved very much by the young people, and we need to develop that site. It's a little bit dangerous, but young people, during holiday, most young people go there. So we need to develop it also for the birds. So I have seen it missing very much out of the 19. I wish you should take interest and put Aru Falls to be the 20th, and should also be given a location to develop it as a good tourist site. There are very many sites here, like the Sir Samuel Becker's Fort site. But I think the road is also not yet very good. The road from Gulu to Patiko and then onwards to Kitgum through what? Through Palabek. I think that big road, it is also natural road. It's trunk road. It has to be considered for tourist road, because that is the road that will lead people to Fort Pateko. I beg to submit.
Honorable Rachel Magora.
Thank you, Right Honorable. I thank the chairman for the committee for the report. There's one thing I need to point out to the chairman. Cultural sites are a function of the people who own those cultural sites. We have separated the people who know about these sites from the tourism side. So the people who own it will develop it in partnership with tourism. So when you talk about tourism, it's like saying you're going to make millet porridge and you don't put the millet. The millet are the people. They own these sites, they understand them, they will take care of them in partnership with you. The sites that exist are beyond physical. Cultural tourism looks at the communities. People travel to a country to see how those people live. How do they eat? One member here mentioned it. When they see the dances, they eat the food. We tend in tourism to focus on sites and animals. But when you leave out the people, you have left out the main ingredient that makes tourism worth it. People come to Uganda to see monkeys, baboons. That's what we promote. What about the people? I give an example of Kagulu Hill. The Chabazinga Ship of Busoga has partnered every year to climb that mountain, because that's where Busoga started with the King's Crossing over from Bunyoro. It is working because the cultural institution is hand in glove in promoting that institution. So you're talking about toilets, you're talking about paintings, bring modern paintings. Without the actually painting those, there will be something imported. The youth are here without jobs. Involve them in creating the beauty on these sites, because they have the cultural institutional memory of what that site means. I'm the chairperson of the Culture and Creative Industries Forum. I request that tourism, please talk to us. We share ideas on what a cultural site should be and should do. Thank you.
Honorable Salaji. Then Honorable Oranya. Andrew Oranya.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to thank the committee on the elaborate report they have presented on the floor of the Parliament.
Right Honorable Speaker, I feel that though the committee has come up with those historical sites that it tantamount to the attraction of tourists, there are still many sites that have not been mentioned on the report. Like when you take in my district, there are those religious and the religious sites, like the Lodonga Basilica and Alelinga site, where all the Muslims from West Nile were gathered and they were circumcised there. When you go to that area, Arabs, they come and see where their religion was started and it was put into practice. And Lodonga Basilica site attracts pilgrims from all over the world in order to come there. And these sites have not been put on this report. I feel that there is something still more that needs to be done in order to incorporate many of those sites that have not been put on this report. I beg to submit. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Andrew Ranya. Then Honorable Santa Arum.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to submit on 3 points only. I want to thank the chairman of the committee for the report, but I want to focus on 3 aspects of the report. One is on infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, sir, if you look at Moroto Road, it's a tourism road. It will connect you to Gotodek, it will connect you to Balonyo, it will connect you to Ambrosoli's Shrine. But if you look at the bridge, or deck bridge itself, it's just about 5 rains from being washed away. I want to draw that to the attention of the committee and the attention of this House. It's a national road. Secondly, the plan to tarmac Moroto Road, they've only given Omoro 2 kilometers of tarmac. It would be our prayer that the cultural institutions are taken care of. If you were to visit the residents of the road of Puran, one of the biggest chiefdoms in Acholi, it's in a deplorable state. If they could extend some tarmac to that route of the cultural leader. Secondly, on the issue of a tourism-centric nation, when you're coming to Uganda, it is not a destination. It's not that you're going to Got or Dek, you're going to go through the market vendors, you're going to go through the hotel providers, you're going to go through the transport service providers. It's a whole system. What is Uganda's readiness to make sure we're all able to welcome our visitors? Because why I would visit a place is how I felt treated. It is not at that hotel, it is how I was treated outside that will make me come back. So I want to implore the committee to look at building the capacity of the nation to be tourism-centric. I beg to submit.
Thank you, Honorable Santa. Hello.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me opportunity to contribute on this motion. I stand here to support the committee. Mr. Speaker, 1, Uganda is grappling with lack of or low revenue, and tourism is one key aspect which can generate for us revenue, both locally and internationally. Mr. Speaker, I want to start from the report which the committee presented in Oyam, the St. Mary's Mother of the Church Shrine, which is in Icheme. Mr. Speaker, this is a shrine which attracts local and international pilgrims in thousands. The church has tried its best to renovate and do something, but government has not put in anything completely. Right Honorable Speaker, the late Speaker, the Right Honorable Jacob Olanya, contributed, and we were promised that the government will come and add on to what the late Speaker did. How I wish the government this time round get some money to work on this shrine of Mother Mary. We get a lot of miracles in this very location. 2, I want to add my voice on the Barlonyo site, Mr. Speaker. The management is so poor. The road is so poor, a journey of 20 meters takes more than 1 hour. Mr. Speaker, are we really serious when we are talking of generating local revenue and then the tourism site? Even in this very place, Mr. Speaker, there is no latrine, a place which is hosting so many people. When you look at the site, we have ever gone to Rwanda in Kigali. You have pictures of what we are talking about. But the local community is struggling, and when you reach Barlonyo, for example, they are struggling to communicate, but no graphic images, no pictures. I would like to urge the ministry. The minister is here represented. I hope you have ever gone to the genocide site in Kigali, and we can start by having something in place.
Thank you,
And in this very place, Mr. Speaker, there is a lot of vandalism taking place. The area is not fenced, and I would like to support the committee and say instead of government funding only one site in a year, how about taking 3 sites in a year, Mr. Speaker, so that we start at a better rate. I want to thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable Felix Okotogong, Honorable Linus Ngope. And then,
Mr. Speaker,
Karamoja
sir,
Group agree on one person. I need people.
and members of Parliament, I want to thank Honorable Boniface Okot for his wonderful presentation. And I want to thank the committee members for visiting Kangai site. Kangai site is where the king of Buganda and the king of Bunyoro were captured from. And it's a very important tourist site, and I'm happy that they visited that site. But I want to appeal to the committee members and the minister that we have been going there many times, but no implementation. And happy this time government has provided 14 billion to develop Kangai tourism site, and 3 billion has already been provided for this financial year. But my concern is about the planning, the plan of the site is not yet there. We have not seen the plan. When are you going to begin the implementation? We have not seen the plan. When are you going to begin the implementation? When the plan itself is not there. You have not even invited us to discuss the plan of the site, how is it going to be developed. That is my only concern. But I'm happy that we have provided money, we have provided resources, and implementation should begin. It is now, we are going to September. Now the financial year is about to end when you have not utilized the money that has already been put in the budget. So I want to appeal to the minister and government that implementation should begin as soon as possible. Thank you very much. I appreciate.
Thank you, Honorable Linus.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I'd like to thank the committee for their findings and recommendations and the report. My concern is on the safety and who is charged with maintaining these cultural sites. For example, a few days ago, I visited Pakwach, that's where I come from originally, and I visited also the Eclipse Point. Unfortunately, the structure is good, but you find that the site has been abandoned and left to wild animals, and the villagers also sometimes access it and use it as their latrine. Honorable Avur here can testify. So the question is, who is in charge of maintaining these cultural sites? Because many of them are abandoned and left. Then Action Falls in the national park, you find that the barriers that were erected many years ago have rusted, and some of them algae has grown on them and they're slippery. And you find that the size of the metal used cannot provide any safety anymore. So I call upon the committee or wildlife to also at least replace the barriers so that our tourists are protected and instead of falling into the Nile. Thank you, Right Honorable.
Thank you. I had seen Karamoja. I wanted someone, one person from Karamoja. Yes, Honorable, please take on.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. Tourism is all about leisure, research, and knowledge. For Karamoja case, it has all the tourist potential, but the government intervention has somehow delayed. For example, when you talk about the sites, when you talk about Kidepo, which harbors many of the animals that people are talking about, problem animals, whatever, happy that the president has written to fence. But the problem in Kidepo that brings wild animals outside is that the environment has been inhabited by dangerous plants that have swept the pasture for animals. If government would enter into the research and endeavor that the grasslands or the pasture lands of the park is rejuvenated to allow animals get back. And when the fencing is done, the animals will not disturb other people. When you get a place like Kidepo, it is the second tourist destination in Africa. But the tourists struggle to reach there. The roads, though the government has brought in the law, which was approved, and we are waiting. We would wish that could be done such that the tourists can reach there. My colleague talked about local tourism. It is upon the managers of the tourist sites, the tourist areas, to ensure that there is adequate preparation for one to feel free, to feel happy to reach there. But if the managers are not handling the local persons, the local tourists, how can the foreigners enjoy that? For the Karamoja case, we have coined the insecurity to look like it is permanent. Even when we say the insecurity has gone down, we want the people or the tourists to come to Karamoja, but many of us outside here say Karamoja is insecure. And in this case, we are hosting the cultural event, which invites all the tourists locally, internationally, beginning Monday. I welcome all of us to come and see what definitely takes the tourists to Kidepo as the second tourist destination. I heard and say, tourists and all of us should know that Kidepo National Park is a park you need to reach before you die. Thank you very much.
Honorable Chon.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. And I want to appreciate for your good vision to see me today. Honorable Speaker, what I wanted to let my colleagues and this House know, all these tribes in northern Uganda, if you look at the history, they all were originated or they departed from Otuke in the early 70 to 90. And I would ask the chairperson and the committee to make sure Otuke would be considered as one of the greatest tourism places. In year 2002, I remember one of the white men from California, they flew to Otuke just to come and take a photograph of the red lizard. So you look at what Otuke can bring to this country. Secondly, we have a coronation of our own Nyachi in Lango in November 2nd, which will take place in Otuke. Honorable Speaker, I would urge you, chairperson and committee, to make sure Otuke is included. And the road which directs from Lira, Leptong, Otuke, Abim, I think this road should be tarmacked. Then, all right, Honorable Speaker, I want to say this. Otuke, if you climb Otuke, you would find a footprint for all tribes in the northern Uganda who are gathered in this place. You'll find a footprint of Poteso, of Pacholi, of Jabur, of Lango, and of Kuma. These are the things which really I wanted to raise in this house, and was burning me where I could not hold it. Thank you very much.
Now, honorable colleagues, I'm going to make a special consideration. We welcome back our colleague who has been away after losing her beloved one, Honorable Sharon Barimoy. It's her first sitting since she lost her dear husband. Honorable, we keep praying for you. Let's welcome you back to the house. Submit your point.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues. Allow me first start by appreciating the Right Honorable Speaker for yesterday. He took his time and went to my home to pay his last respect to my beloved husband who departed from us, and some other honorable colleagues that moved with him. Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. My family is forever grateful, and may the soul of my husband continue to rest in place. Right Honorable Speaker, I wanted to come on a point of information, but by the rules, he is already out of the floor, so I cannot. Okay, thank you. Thank you for giving me way. I wanted to ask to Honorable Achom that not all Northerners come from Otuke. For us, the Acholis, our origin is from Barahel Gazelle, Southern Sudan. So is it in order for Honorable Achom to allege that all Northerners come from Otuke? At least for the best of my knowledge, I originate from South Sudan.
Thank you.
Right Honorable Speaker.
You can have friends in Otuke.
Oh yes, certainly. And Honorable Chom is one of my best friends from Otuke. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Right Honorable Speaker.
You have another submission you wanted to?
Yeah.
Yes, I gave you a special consideration on it. So continue.
I continue. Right Honorable Speaker, thank you for giving me way. I know it's not in order for me to bring a matter of national importance here, but there's a pressing issue in Gulu district and Gulu city subsequently. There is a ban on charcoal business in this region. But Right Honorable Speaker, I would like to let you know that for the last 2 weeks, there has been an operation for curbing charcoal business in the region. And Right Honorable Speaker, all that we were trying to do is to conserve the environment. But Right Honorable Speaker, it's very unfortunate that for the last 2 weeks, the people of Gulu district and Gulu city are suffering and almost failing to cook food in their homes because soldiers have been deployed to ensure that charcoal, even bags of charcoal, even a single bag of charcoal, even a half sack of charcoal is not allowed to pass the citizen of this area. And for that reason, people are crying foul. Here we are not able to afford cooking with gas, you know. So my plea is that let them go soft on our people. What we don't want is to see lorries carrying chunks of charcoal crossing Karuma and taking it to other places for business purposes. But right now, my prayer is the government is to give us alternative source of energy so that we are able to live normally. We wish for the government to give us free gas cylinders to our people, and then at a reduced price when it comes to refilling of the gas for a given period of time until we are able to have alternative source of cooking, and also to reduce the tariff on power for us who cook, for those who are able to cook using cooker. I submit, Right Honorable Speaker.
Yeah, thank you. Now, Rule 7 of our rules of procedure. The issue which the Honorable colleague has raised, charcoal crossing Karuma and charcoal remaining in northern Uganda has the same impact on the environment. You can't say a tree cut to serve people in northern Uganda won't affect the environment compared to a tree cut to take charcoal to Kampala. I am among the people who raised this issue on the floor after watching the documentary on how Zoka Forest is being destroyed, despite the presidential order, the presidential directive on stopping charcoal around those areas. So, honorable colleagues, it can't be Parliament sit here and say, let us be lenient on people who are destroying the environment. We would be sending a very, very wrong message. It can't be Parliament. So, on that one, the minister, maybe if the minister was here, they would answer the one of charcoal. But when it comes to destroying the environment, please, let us all be strong. Otherwise, it will come back for you. It will come back to destroy you. Nature pays back in a more even rough manner. Honourable Minister for Tourism. A small correction on record. Yes, Honourable Rusakero, if it's a correction that is on record. Now, Honourable colleagues, the Speaker is on the floor, therefore you are proceeding well. Honourable
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I just want to make a small correction which is in the report, page 32, on point 6.6, talking about the Amuru Hot Spring, and it talks of Paga Parish. There is no parish as such. It is Pagak Parish in Amuru sub-county. I thought this is a very critical point and a very critical correction. If not corrected, it will affect the whole report. Thank you so much.
The Hansard has captured it. Honourable Minister.
Thank you so much, Right Honourable Speaker. And I want to thank the Vice Chairperson, Honourable Court, and the committee members for a very good report. And he raised most of the issues that we would have raised as a ministry. Right Honourable Speaker, of the 19 sites in the northern region, we're only in charge of 9. And the reason is mainly the resources, really. So our request still goes out there that some more investment is put into tourism, just like the other members were requesting, because tourism indeed brings in a lot of revenues if the investment is done. And the Honourable Chairperson quoted figures of 2022 on the performance of the sector when he said that our numbers of visitors that received around the sites was around 67,000. But, Right Honourable Speaker, for the last 3 years, the Museums and Monuments Department has been receiving around 2 billion as recurrent budget and 2 billion for development for the last 3 years. But you can see that even with that little money, once we invest in promotion, we get the results share. Because in 2023, our figures improved from 67,000 to 131,000
twice the number in just 1 year. So if we invest in this sector, definitely we'll have the results. And for the members that have raised the number of sites that have not been captured, I want to assure you that under the Museums and Monuments Act, the minister has powers to gazette any other sites that you feel would form part of the museums department. So please write to us and we'll make this consideration. And Right Honorable Speaker, the statutory instrument was signed. It should be making its way to Parliament anytime soon. So I want to agree with the committee that we've identified so many sites, around 614. Our issue is the resources to have presence in each of the sites, to develop them and to promote these sites. Right Honorable Speaker, there has been an issue of human-wildlife relations. I don't want to call it conflict, because we are going to stay with these animals. I think we've stayed with them since creation and we'll continue staying with them. Right Honorable Speaker, just for northern Uganda, and I want to speak to Karamoja and the Makshon Falls National Park. Right Honorable Speaker, last week, I think in Parliament, from the directive of His Excellency, the President, we did an assessment for what we need to do to resolve the issues of human-wildlife conflict around the Kidepo Community Wildlife Management Area, which is Kidepo and Karenga, which is around 317 kilometers. We just need 20 billion to have that area fenced, and we have the issue of elephants getting out and destroying crops resolved once and for all. And the most interesting bit, or the difficult bit, even when we deploy more rangers and with the UPDF, these elephants are very intelligent animals, because they know when they come out during the day, you'll easily intercept them. So they choose to come out in the night. It's very dangerous for rangers to run after elephants in the night. So usually they've already entered, then in the morning we have to go and get them out of the community. But once we fence, we'll have the problem resolved. And for the Makshon Falls, Right Honorable Speaker, which is 394 kilometers, that's the entire boundary, we have so far fenced 44 kilometers in Noya and Oyam. We are currently doing 10 kilometers in Noya and 10 kilometers in Bulisa. So we have an uncovered boundary of around 330 kilometers. And it would cost us around 21 billion to fence Makshon Falls, and we also have the issue resolved once and for all. But the issue is with Parliament, and the Prime Minister has been holding meetings with the Minister of Finance to see how we resolve this issue. I have been to the communities, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to assure you, if you see how people suffer, especially when a group of elephants, let's say 5, 6, go into the gardens, I understand the pain. But this is the only solution, and we're out. With those few remarks, again, I want to thank the committee. But Chair, indeed, let's support tourism. It's a low-hanging fruit, and the revenues can come in any time. Thank you.
Honourable Minister, you know we've been doing it. Now, I have been guided that under your sub-regional groups of the North work, there are additional issues which you were assigned as sub-regional blocks to present additional issues. The people who were assigned, are they ready? Okay? Sub-region issues, not a member coming up to give their views, but sub-region issues. Who is ready? Which sub-region is ready? So that I know you're presenting issues of a sub-region, not issues of you as just a member. If West Nile is ready, you can just, so that they are captured to be part of amendments to the report. I can start with West Nile if you're ready. Who is presenting? Honorable Feta, you're doing for West Nile? Please do. I'll give each one maximum 2 minutes. Has to be quick. Just read the outline. Honorable colleagues, I must finish the order paper by 4, so you'll have to forgive me. Today we are going to sacrifice many submissions.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity for West Nile to present the sub-regional issues that were directed here on Wednesday. Right Honorable Speaker, you are aware on the 3rd of this month, West Nile was connected to national grid after 110 years. Government has introduced the electricity scale-up program of 1 pole or 0 pole. However, this project is coming when the region does not have connectivity. The region does not have last mile connection. So the uptake of this project will be difficult, and therefore the regional position is that government should consider West Nile for affirmative action so that electricity scale-up can be enhanced through rural electrification. 1, to increase connectivity. 2, to increase in access, increase in usage, promotion of value addition, to create jobs for youth and women, and to promote self-employment. 2, affordability of electricity. As you are aware.
Honorable, these are issues, from what I was guided, they should be rated to the report. We are now on tourism. Are there issues to do with tourism you agreed upon?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Specifically with the tourism, Right Honorable Speaker, the report did not highlight on Alikwa pyramids that were constructed in 1911 in Yivu sub-county of Maracha district. I would appeal that the committee should consider this. 2, we have Ombati massacre ground where 89 people were killed on 24th of June 1981. This has not been captured. We have issues of cultural sites in West Nile. We have Aluru Kingdom, where there are enormous potentials of tourism. That has not been captured. We have the Lubara Kari, where there is enormous potential covering about 7 districts of West Nile. That has not been captured. And there are key other areas in the Madi sub-region. I beg to submit. Thank you.
Thank you. The rest seemed not to be ready for their area. Honorable colleagues, I now put honorable colleagues, please, just let me run the house the way I know how to run it. I think this is going to bring in confusion from what I'm seeing. Members are giving their individual submissions. Honorable colleagues, I now put the question that the report of the Committee on Tourism, Trade and Industry on the state and prospects of tourism sites in northern Uganda be adopted with proposed amendment. Those in favor say aye into the container. The ayes have it. Now, the areas which you talked about that have not been captured have been captured under amendments. Okay? Thank you. Honorable Minister, please bring us an action taken report within 3 months from today as per Rule 220 of our Rules of Procedure. Next item.
Item 6 on the other paper. Motion for adoption of the report of the Committee on Environment and Natural Resources on the petition on unfair compensations by the Karuma Dam hydropower project affected persons.
Yes. Honorable Chair, Committee on Natural Resources, and as the Chair comes in the public gallery this afternoon, honorable colleagues, we have pupils and teachers of Credo Nursery and Primary Schools, Gulu, and Omoro branches, represented by Honorable Nen Charles, Honorable Aworu Betty Ochan, Honorable Court Peter, and Honorable Lamwaka Catherine, respectively. They've come to observe proceedings of this House. Please join me in welcoming them. They are in that corner, looking very smart. Thank you. You can take your seats, our visitors. Honorable Chair.
Mr. Speaker, sir, this is a report of the Committee on Environment and Natural Resources on a petition by project-affected persons of the Karuma hydropower plant. Mr. Speaker, the committee looked into a number of issues We held meetings. We also visited the site, had on-site meeting with project affected persons, the ministry, and other stakeholders. Mr. Speaker, before I present a report of the committee, I request that we lay on the table a file containing the report of the committee, minutes of our findings, and several other documents that were compiled in the process. Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay.
Thank you.
In the interest of time, Mr. Speaker, I shall just read highlights of the committee findings because this matter has been on the order paper since Wednesday. I am sure the honorable colleagues have addressed themselves on many other issues in the report. Mr. Speaker, sir, honorable colleagues, on September 12, 2023, the Right Honorable Speaker directed the Committee on Environment and Natural Resources to study and revert to Parliament on a petition submitted to her office by the Environment Governance Institute on behalf of the project-affected persons of Karuma Hydropower Project. The committee considered the petition in accordance with Rules 36 and Rule 37, Sub-Rule 7 of the Rules of Procedure of Parliament, and hereby wish to report. Mr. Speaker, Karuma Hydropower Plant is a runoff of the river plant located along River Nile, northwest of Uganda. It's at 23.5 kilometers upstream of Masindi Gulu Highway. The project area falls within Kiriandongo and Oyam districts, located in the vicinity of Karuma Village and Mashon Falls protected areas, including the Karuma Wildlife Reserve. The project utilizes a gross head of about 700 meters and design discharge of 1,098 cubic meters for the generation of 600 megawatts, in brackets 6 units of 100 megawatts each. It has 6 different generation turbines. Mr. Speaker, in a letter dated September 5th, 2023, the Environment Governance Institute petitioned the Office of the Speaker on behalf of the project-affected persons who are affected by the works on Karuma Hydropower Plant and requested that the Speaker sets up an inquiry to look into the manner in which compensations of these persons had been done by the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development. The petition by the Environment Governance Institute recognizes that in 2021, the government of Uganda, facilitated by the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, initiated the acquisition of 465.52 hectares of land in Karuma and Awo villages in Mutunda sub-county of Chiriandongo district and Nora and Akurudia villages in Kamdini sub-county of Oyam district to make way for the construction of the hydropower plant. Energy Infrastructure PVT Limited was contracted in 2010 to prepare and carry out a resettlement action plan, in brackets RAP, and a livelihood restoration assessment for the Karuma Hydropower project. Consequently, between October and November 2011, it undertook a population census and land survey on behalf of the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development to assess the socio-economic characteristics and property evaluation of the affected individuals. This data was used to compile a resettlement action plan report that was finalized in 2012. Notable is that government set January 16, 2012 as the cutoff date, signaling that any development made on the affected land after that date would not be compensated, and that government had taken over the property of the project-affected persons. The grievances of the PAPs, those are project-affected persons, in the petition included: 1, failure to relocate vulnerable project-affected persons; 2, lack of social services; 3, uncertainty about the proposed relocation areas in Lapono village in Nuer district; 3, unfair land acquisition; 4, lack of grievance reporting platform; and 5, presence of ghost landlords. Mr. Speaker, sir, the prayers of the petitioners included, among others, that Parliament should establish a commission of inquiry to thoroughly investigate the compensation issues around the Karuma hydropower project. 2, that the government should adhere to the guidelines for compensation assessment under the land acquisition framework. Number 3, that government should urgently construct houses for the displaced household. And 4, that the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development should establish a grievance handling committee. In response to the prayers of the petition, the committee therefore set out the following objectives to look into the matters raised in the petition. 1, that we wanted to determine whether the Natural Resources and the Environment and Natural Resources Committee has the capacity and competence to look into the matter, since the petitions had prayed for a commission of inquiry. 2, to assess whether there was fair, adequate, and prompt compensation of the PAPs. Number 3, to ascertain the status of implementation of the resettlement action plan. And 4, to report any other matter incidental to this. Mr. Speaker, I will skip the relevant legal regime because we all know that. I will also skip the methodology. I'll just go straight to the committee findings. Mr. Speaker, sir, under 5.1, the land and number of people affected by the project. The total area affected by the project, that is the Karuma hydropower project generation site, is 462.52 hectares. Out of these, 238.6 hectares is land from the Karuma conservation area. 192.7 hectares is private land belonging to the project-affected persons, while 34.17 hectares belongs to NORPAC. The land belonging to the project-affected persons is in Karuma and Awo villages in Mutunda sub-county in Kriandongo district, and Akiridia and Nora villages in Kamdini sub-county in Oyam district. Mr. Speaker, the total number of affected households was stated at 414, out of which 280 are landowners and 134 are tenants. The total population of the affected households is 3,735, comprising 50.04% male against 49.96 female. Mr. Speaker, on the assessment of the competence of this committee to undertake the assignment, under Article 90 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda.
Honorable, by the time we assign you, we know.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Much obliged. Evaluation of the status of PAPs, outstanding compensations. Mr. Speaker, let me skip. Let me skip those, Mr. Speaker. Compensation, one of the issues was that the committee observed that despite this, item committee is in receipt of the cases where PAPs claim they were not adequately compensated, besides the 6 cases that are in court. These are provided as Annex 2. The recommendations. The committee recommends that the Ministry of Energy expedites the implementation of the RAP so as to fully acquire the project land. 2, that the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development and UETCL should ensure that supervision of consultants during the evaluation process is done in order to detect and avoid errors and omissions. And the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development should investigate and take appropriate action to address the grievances of all persons that were not adequately compensated, as per the attached list, which is Annex 2, and report back to Parliament not later than 30th of November 2024. On the status of land acquisition for relocation of vulnerable PAPs, the observations. The committee noted that there was a protracted delay in acquiring land for the PAPs between completion of the PAP RAP assessment in 2012 and the purchase of land which was supposed to be done by 2018. The committee also observed that whereas there are copies of land titles for the purchased land, no copies of transfer forms were received, and this partly explains the continued failure to transfer the land titles to government since 2018. The committee observed that it was erroneous for the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development to purchase land without conducting an official search as advised by the Chief Government Valuer. Moreover, the land was purchased at 75 million more than the value recommended by the Chief Government Valuer. Recommendation. The committee recommends that the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development and the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development should conduct a search of the land to ascertain the ownership status of the purchased land, as this will enable or facilitate clarification of other imposters who have also been claiming for compensation. Number 2, that the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development should carry out boundary opening of this acquired land in order to mitigate and prevent encroachment of land for the project. Number 3, the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development should ensure that ownership of the land acquired in Ngora is expeditiously transferred to government awaiting parceling of the said land for the resettlement of project affected persons. I think that should be Noya. On status of resettlement of the PAPs, the committee observed that although Karuma Hydropower project is nearing completion with 99% progress and an official commissioning date set for 25th September 2024, all vulnerable PAPs, 119 households, have still not been relocated despite the comments made in the Resettlement Action Plan over a decade ago. Further, the committee noted that the delays in the resettlement might increase the likelihood of new claimants emerging. The recommendations, therefore, is that Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development should expedite the construction of houses for the vulnerable PAPs and should aid their relocation. That 2, an ad hoc joint assessment committee composed of Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development staff, the local leadership, and the PAPs themselves, representatives of the PAPs themselves, should be formed to periodically assess progress at the resettlement site. Their terms of reference and timelines for execution of the construction of the houses should be developed and agreed upon by all the parties, and that the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, together with Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development, should fast track the transfer of land titles to the government of Uganda for the land in Lapono village. Mr. Speaker, sir, immediately return the land titles to the project affected persons or ensure that all their outstanding claims are paid promptly. On the claims before court, the committee observed that since some of the cases before court Since some of these cases are before court, and in line with the rules of procedure, it will not dwell on the specifics of these cases, since this might constitute sub judice as per Rule 73, which in part reads that a member shall not refer to any particular matter which is sub judice. So the committee restrained itself from dwelling into the details of what is before court. On implementation of social services, Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee noted that the PAPs had highlighted a number of additional services to be considered as part of the RAP. This included water and sanitation facilities, electricity provision, upgrading of Health Center 2s to Health Center 4. The committee noted that where these social services are not catered for under the RAP, they are provided for in the Community Development Action Plan or the corporate social responsibility from the developers of Karuma Hydropower project. The committee also observed that the failure to provide essential social services undermines the well-being of the resettled communities. This undermines also the community acceptance and trust in the project, potentially resulting into resistance and reduced public support for future initiatives of government. Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee therefore recommends that the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development should prioritize to avail the Minister of Energy and Mineral Development with the necessary funding so that it can promptly implement the social services action plans as outlined in the RAP. The committee also recommends that Minister of Energy and Mineral Development should expedite extension of electricity to the neighboring communities, especially public institutions, because it negates understanding for you to be the community from which electricity is generated and yet remain without supply of energy. Implementation of the Community Development Action Plan. The committee observed that funding by government remains very low despite the CDAP being a critical foreseeable expenditure requirement. Out of the 38.3 billion meant for the implementation of the CDAP project, only 0.3 billion has been received, resulting to non-implementation of planned constructions. Number two, it was also observed that in the imperative that government avails funding for the CDAP, initiatives in the project host communities, it was observed that it is imperative that government avails funding for implementation of the CDAP initiatives in the project acceptance. Recommendation that the committee recommends that the government provides the 3.82 billion for the CDAP activities under Karuma over the next 3 financial years. 5.5, acquisition of land titles for public institutions. The committee observed that the absence of land titles for public institutions create legal and ownership uncertainties which could lead to future disputes. It recommends, therefore, that the relevant authorities should expedite the process of issuing land titles and to these public institutions so as to ensure clear ownership, legal protection, and the ability to access further development opportunities. Number two, that the Minister of Energy and Mineral Development should refrain from boundary opening on land that they have not fully acquired until the PAPs have been fully compensated and relocated. Mr. Speaker, as we come towards the end of this report, on the issue of land ruggles at Karuma Primary School, Mr. Speaker, the committee established that there is a dispute regarding the amount of land taken from Karuma Primary School. The school survey reports indicate that 17 acres were initially available, out of which 8 acres were taken by the Minister of Energy and Mineral Development, while the Minister of Energy and Mineral Development contends that 4.7 acres were acquired. This discrepancy arises from conflicting survey reports between the two. The committee therefore recommends that an independent survey be conducted to resolve the discrepancy in land measurements and ensure accurate documentation and demarcation. Number two, that additionally, a review meeting involving both the ministry and the school Management Committee and other representatives should be organized to address the issue in order to reach a fair conclusion. On Karuma Hydropower Plant PAP's Orphanage Scholarship Fund, the committee observed that failure to issue clear guidelines risks mismanagement and an ineffective use of the resources, potentially preventing the intended support from reaching the PAPs themselves. The committee therefore recommends that the Minister of Energy and Mineral Development, in collaboration with the relevant district local governments, should urgently develop and disseminate clear guidelines for utilization of the Orphanage Scholarship Fund. Number 2, that additionally, regular audits should be conducted by the Minister of Energy and Mineral Development to ensure transparency and accountability in the funds management. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, sir, Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, after a thorough investigation into the grievances of the project-affected persons of Karuma Hydropower Project that were raised in the petition, the committee has established significant gaps in the implementation of the resettlement action plan and as well as the compensation process. This is characterized by delayed, unfair, and inadequate compensation, protracted resettlement of vulnerable PAPs, which have negatively impacted their livelihoods. The committee therefore recommends immediate government intervention to address these grievances by expediting the construction of houses for relocation of the vulnerable PAPs. That, Mr. Speaker, that outstanding compensation claims should, as a matter of urgency, be implemented. Mr. Speaker, I beg to submit. Thank you.
Honourable Chair. Honourable colleague, this is very straightforward. It is very straightforward. Maybe if it's additional information, additional recommendation. Otherwise, I'm trying to save time because I want to get space for sub-regions to bring brief reports, summary on the issues which have not been captured by the committees. So I want to create that space, and yet I don't have it on the order paper. So I'm trying to save time. I'm only going to allow the woman MP for Nwoya, which is an affected district, and the MP, Honorable Raina Singope.
Thank you so much, Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues. I want to thank the committee for bringing up and responding to this petition. Right Honourable Speaker, there are so many ministries that are involved in these cases that should be also brought on the table to handle this issue. Right Honourable Speaker, to begin with, the 119 people that are supposed to be relocated from Karuma to Nwoya in Lapono village did not go to court, Right Honourable Speaker. That must be put very clearly. And the people who went to court, the 6 people who went to court, and they are residing in the Karuma Town Council right now, should not be a stumbling block to the suffering people who are supposed to be relocated to Nwoya. We have lost so many from this figure already. There are some of them who have already died of old age.
Honourable.
Yes.
You're repeating what the committee has said. That's what the committee. No, the committee put it clearly. It's very clear. The cases that are in court, the committee didn't even touch. It talked about the people who need compensation and are not in court. So let us not repeat it here.
Thank you for your wise guidance. Right Honourable Speaker, on the land title, the Ministry of Energy bought this land from a family in Nwoya, the 200-acre land. Right Honourable Speaker, if there is any challenge of producing the land title, then the Ministry of Energy should respond to this, because they are the ones that bought the land and they are the ones responsible to process the land title. It's my prayer, Right Honourable Speaker, that this issue is handled today and our people are served, because we are losing so many of them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. My prayer on behalf of the people is we request Parliament, through you, to expedite the observation and findings of this committee, because our people have suffered, especially on compensation. Most of our old people who were due to get compensation have passed on, and some were compensated forcefully. So we request Parliament to really expedite this process. Thank you.
Thank you, Woman MP Kidiandongo. Honorable Helen Aunde.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I indeed want to thank the Chair for the detailed report, and I want to associate myself with most of the recommendations. Right Honorable Speaker, there's one or two issues that I want to comment on. One of them is on social corporate responsibilities. Right Honorable Speaker and members, you are aware that social corporate responsibility is one aspect, important aspect of any development project. But for Kiriandongo district, we indeed got a raw deal. At first, we were promised of a hospital and a secondary school. But later we learned that the hospital was taken to Masindi Army Barracks. To date, we have waited for the only secondary school. We have not received it. And our people are not happy as far as the social corporate responsibility is concerned. We cannot host this very big project and come up with nothing completely. Right Honorable Speaker, on the issue of land title, the chairperson had said it all. But our people are worried, especially those who were compensated, but land has not been transferred in the government's name, so that these land titles are returned to the owners. People are worried they are going to lose their land because, especially when somebody dies, the process of acquiring these letters of administration, they fear the process will be longer for them to acquire their land titles back. Right Honorable Speaker, we pray that this August House works together with the community and also continues to support their cries as they have presented them before the community. It is very true, the people who opted for resettlement have suffered the most. They have been rendered homeless up to now. I pray, Right Honorable Speaker, that we support these communities so that they can really be resettled. I thank you.
Thank you. Honorable colleagues, I now put the question that the report of the Committee on Environment and Natural Resources on the petition on unfair compensation by the Karuma Dam hydropower project affected persons be adopted. Those in favor say to the contrary, nay. The ayes have it. Honorable Chair, I saw somewhere talking about action by November, but some of these matters are very urgent and they are very specific and they are in the hands of the ministry and the project team. So the minister should bring an action taken report within only 1 month on this matter. Thank you. Next item.
Item 7 on the order paper. Motion for adoption of the report of the Committee on Public Service and Local Government on the functionality of the District Service Commissions and City Service Commissions, personnel management in selected local government districts across Northern, Eastern, and Western region.
Thank you, Chair. You are our host. You know what time means. So I know you will use as little time as possible, but you cover the subject matter efficiently. Honorable Mapenduzi.
Thank you, sir. Right Honorable Speaker, my honorable colleagues. Mr. Speaker, sir, permit me to present the report of the Committee on Public Service and Local Government on the functionality of the District Service Commissions and City Service Commissions and on the personnel management in selected local governments across Northern Uganda, Eastern and Western region. And as I embarked on that, Right Honorable Speaker, permit me to lay the minutes of the meetings and together with the report of the committee to that effect. I beg to lay.
Yes. I'm sorry. I scanned, I couldn't see any minister from Ministry of Energy. You know, Honorable Nyamtoro has a precise size, so the poor was able to cover her.
Thank you, sir.
I didn't give her an opportunity. I think she wanted to clarify just a few things. Yes. I'm sorry about that. The Hansard team will see a way of rearranging this. So let's give her a chance, then Honorable Mapenduzi will resolve.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Allow me thank the Chair for the well-elaborate report and also present some of the responses from the Ministry on the petition by project-affected persons under the Karuma Hydropower Project. Right Honorable Speaker, on the issue of outstanding compensation claims, as the committee rightly mentioned, out of the 125 outstanding claims, 6 are civil suits that are before the courts of law, and the ministry is seeking the support of the Attorney General to expedite closure of these cases. The remaining 119 claims relate to physical resettlement in Lapono village in Nwaya district, and the ministry is currently engaging NEMA, Nwaya district local government, to fast-track the necessary approvals required to commence procurement of contractors to construct the physical resettlement facilities. The ministry has also budgeted for the construction of the resettlement facilities in the budget of the financial year 2025-2026, and our prayer is that this request is prioritized during the allocations and releases. Right Honorable Speaker, on the issue of compensation of ghost landlords, the ministry takes note of the committee's recommendation and will immediately commence investigations on the alleged ghost landlords and report back to Parliament. The ministry also takes note of the committee's recommendation on the compensation of rightful owners subject to the findings of the investigation. On the issue of evaluation of resettlement of the resettlement action plan, Right Honorable Speaker, the ministry is committed to fast-track the outstanding resettlement action plan, and in line with this, we have engaged the services of a consultant to address the outstanding RAPs and grievances under dam site. The consultant has constituted a grievance redress committee at village, sub-county, and district level to support the process. Additionally, the ministry is engaging the Attorney General, NEMA, and Nwaya District local government to fast-track the necessary actions required to close the outstanding civil suits and attain approvals necessary to commence procurement of contractors to construct the physical resettlement facilities as well budgeted for in the financial year 2025-2026. The remaining period of the financial year 2024-2025 shall be used to attain the necessary approvals and procurement of the contractors. Right Honorable Speaker, on the same issue, of grievances of the persons that were not adequately compensated as attached in the annex, the ministry takes note of the committee's recommendation, but observes that out of the list of the 29 project-affected persons, 18 are listed as plaintiffs under civil suit 30 of 2017, Helen Labeja and 60 others, Vice Attorney General and others. As for the remaining 11, the ministry commits to investigate and take appropriate action through the grievance redress committees. On the issue of purchase of relocation land for the PAPs, the ministry takes note of the committee's recommendation and would like to inform Parliament that due diligence was carried out before purchase of the subject land, and confirmation of ownership was supported by the Chairman Area Local Council 1 of Lapono Village, Pabali Parish, Anaka Sub-County, and the Chief Administrative Officer of Noya District Local Government. The ministry is currently in possession of the original land title and transfer forms pending subdivision. The land is to be subdivided and transferred in the names of the individual project affected persons. On the issue of carrying out boundary opening of this required land to mitigate or prevent encroachment, we take note of the committee's recommendation and commit to update the boundary opening report that was prepared during the design of the facilities. Right Honorable Speaker, on the issue of resettling the 119 households in accordance with the resettlement action plan, the ministry commits to expeditiously resettle the PAPs subject to availability of funds for the construction of the facilities. On the issue of the ownership of the land acquired in Noya to be transferred to government awaiting parcelling of the said land to the resettled PAPs, the ministry commits to transfer the land title to Government of Uganda following the boundary opening before subdivision and transfer to the resettled PAPs. On the issue of status of relocation of vulnerable PAPs, Right Honorable Speaker, the ministry commits to resettle the PAPs subject to availability of funds that have limited us over time in starting the construction of the needed facilities. Right Honorable Speaker, on the issue of failure to return land titles for uncompensated PAPs, the ministry commits to identify the outstanding land titles, subdivide them, and return them to the rightful landowners. On implementation of social services, I entirely agree with the committee's recommendation. On implementation of Community Development Action Plan, the ministry entirely agrees with the committee's recommendation and commits to put it into action. On completion of the mosque at Karuma, the ministry commits to expedite the completion and handover by December 2024. Currently, the contractor is on site and works are ongoing. On refurbishment work for Karuma Primary School, the ministry would like to inform Parliament that the contractor to undertake works was jointly procured by Kiriandongo District Local Government and the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development. However, the designs, bills of quantities, supervision of construction works, and clearance of payment certificates, including issuance of the completion certificate, was undertaken by Kiriandongo District Local Government, as was agreed in a memorandum of understanding with the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development. On ensuring corrective measures are implemented immediately, including replacing substandard materials with those specified, we commit to undertake any required corrective measures that have been identified. Right Honorable Speaker, on the issue of land wrangle at Karuma Primary School, the ministry totally agrees with the committee's recommendations and commits to put these in action.
Yes. Procedure. Minister, continue until he gets a microphone.
Right Honourable Speaker, on the issue of acquisition of land titles for public institutions, a consultant was procured to undertake titling of all project land as well as processing.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, the minister's response is too casual by saying it depends on the availability of funds. Right Honourable Speaker, without giving the time frame, leaving those people in suspense, government may take even 10 years by saying we have not yet got the fund. Right Honourable Speaker, is it procedurally right for the minister to give a blanket statement? I would love the minister to give us a time frame, or you put in the budget for the particular financial year for those people to be compensated. But such a casual response, it puts our people into suspense. I beg to move.
Thank you. Now, honorable colleagues, you see, a minister is not giving her opinion. And the minister on such issues, especially which have budgetary implication, she cannot come and say, because I'm a minister, I'll put in this money. No. Otherwise, you're going to force her to lie on the floor. The minister must go back and consult with the treasury, with the cabinet, and they put in money. I think what is very important, but Honorable Tinka Simire, you're a senior. You know, when the speaker is speaking, you're supposed to be quiet. Now, when the speaker is speaking and you're raising procedure. Yes, so the minister, we are protected under our rules of procedure, Rule 220, where we again ask action taken plan. Okay? That's why I've said under Rule 220, you'll come back within 1 month. You show us which action have you taken on the recommendations adopted by the House. And then that's where we shall go into the nitty-gritties. But also sectoral committees, when they are budgeting, they have to go back and say, we resolved on this. Why didn't we include it in the budget? So, but otherwise, for now, I don't want us to crucify our dear sister here to force her make declarations on behalf of cabinet without further consultations. Well, let's be fair to her. Honorable Tinka Simire. There is a microphone nearby. Honorable Tinka Simire.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, sometimes I have to sympathize with you when you have to balance sides of the executive and the people of Uganda. Mr. Speaker, you are aware of the provisions of Article 26 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda. For avoidance of doubt, it says that compensation shall be timely. Compensation, which is referring in the direction of our rules, where you have to give a lot of time to the minister, I don't think that it is complying with Article 26 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda. The guidance I am seeking, in the first where you have the Constitution saying this, and the rules giving you a leeway to balance. How do we proceed? Right Honorable Speaker. In the face that our people are suffering, because I can't give you my land to carry out a project. Then you want me to wait for 3, 5, 6 years. No, it is unacceptable.
Thank you.
That's why people are running to court, because the Constitution says timely.
Thank you. Now, honorable colleagues, when you are seated in positions like we are seated in, you should avoid making resolutions in vain. You have to be cautious. Either you want to appease the public that you talked and you resolved, or you know you have to be practical. That's why your resolution is advisory. So even if now I say, Minister, tomorrow I want you to go and compensate, and she has no money, what will it tell you? Did you include this money in the budget? No. So if it is to be paid urgently, she has to go, process a supplementary, come back here, you approve it. And that's why I was very cautious. If you had me, after your resolution, I said, Honorable colleagues, this is an urgent matter. Therefore, Honorable Minister, come back within 1 month. And also, that's why there is a window. Where someone feels the route for Parliament is short, they take the one of court. There are those who have taken the one of court, because the one of Parliament will remain advisory. But the one of court is mandatory. So, honorable colleagues, I don't want to sit here and I feel I can direct that pay tomorrow and then money will be released. No, I know I don't have that power, unless I want to lie to myself. So I want us to remain within the limit of what kind of power do we have, not to give false hope where you cannot have. Even court, by the way, even if court declares that go and pay, it brings in the element of interest because it knows someone might not be able to raise money. Therefore, they say, for the time you've not paid, please go on paying interest until you get the payment. So let's work together, honorable colleagues. Let's be harmonious. Let's support the minister in her endeavors to get this. And in 1 month, we shall call her back to come and explain what they've done, because some of the items are budget neutral. Okay? Those which are budget neutral, she should be able to expedite the process quickly. Those which require money, she will come here and we support the budgeting process. Honorable Nyamtoro, honorable colleagues, I can tell you, I don't know whether you have a shop where you go and I buy time. Okay? I don't direct me a shop in Gulu where I will buy more time to complete these matters. If we continue with this procedure, you know. Honorable Nyamtoro.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, on the issue of acquisition of land titles for public institutions, a consultant was procured to undertake titling of all project land as well as processing land titles for the public institutions affected by the project. The consultant is currently on site. On the issue of grievance handling mechanism, for the remaining 11, the ministry commits to investigate and take appropriate action through the Grievance Redress Committee and report back to Parliament. On the Karuma Hydropower Plant, PAP's Orphanage Scholarship Fund, the ministry agrees with the committee's recommendation, and however, our prayer is that the audit is undertaken by the Office of the Attorney General on the issue of regular audits to be conducted to ensure transparency and accountability in the fund's management. Right, Honorable Speaker, like the chairperson of the committee rightly stated and supported by the area members of Parliament from the project affected areas, this is a matter of not just urgency, but also very sensitive to the communities. The ministry is working tirelessly to see to it that we have these project affected persons settled, and we call upon the support of Parliament in seeing that our budgeting for the financial year 2025-2026 is prioritized during allocations to enable us have this issue settled once and for all. I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Minister, our advice would be that, like Honorable Tinkasimire said, these are issues which are very straightforward in terms of the law. Present a case to Cabinet and see, we have passed very many supplementaries. I know you're going to bring many supplementaries. I don't think we would reject the supplementary of compensating these people who have suffered for long, whom you've been told are dying and all that. So we request we don't wait for the budget of 2025, 2026, but we handle it urgently.
Much obliged, Right Honourable Speaker. We shall duly report back to Parliament in a month's time.
Thank you, Honourable Nyamutoro. Honourable Mapinduzi, you can resume.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I had requested for permission to have laid on table a copy of the minutes of the committee and also a copy of the report. So I beg to lay, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, this report is rather bulky, and in the interest of time, I'll request that you permit me to take the House through an executive summary that I have prepared. And as I had said, Right Honourable Speaker, this report looks at the functionality of the District Service Commission and City Service Commissions, and also on personnel management in selected local governments across Northern, Eastern, and Western region. Right Honourable Speaker, we already know the mandates of our committee, and in line with these mandates, the committee conducted an oversight visit to selected cities and districts of Northern Uganda, such as Arua, Maracha, Terego, Yumbe, Zombo, and Moyo in West Nile, Gulu District, Gulu City, Noya, Kitgum, and Padei in Acholi, Moroto Municipality, Moroto District, Amudat, Nabilatuk, Karea, Kabong, Kotido Municipality, and Kotido District in Karamoja, and Lira City, Lira District, Amolata District Local Government, Kole, and Otuke in Lao, to assess the functionality of the District and City Service Commission and to analyze the personnel management issues within local governments. Right Honourable Speaker, the committee has made a comprehensive report with a detailed version of its findings, observations, and recommendations, giving examples and scenarios from local government to bring out the issues affecting the functionality of these commissions and the staff. Without prejudice to the comprehensive report, this executive summary highlights the key issues as follows. Committee findings, observations, and recommendations. On the functionality of District Service Commission, Right Honourable Speaker, number one, we look at gaps in the commissions. The committee found out that 98.6% of the District and City Service Commission were functional by end of financial year 2022-23, and most commissions were fully constituted. However, there are some districts that are non-functional with insufficient number of commissions. For example, Amuda District had only one District Service Commission member, which severely affected the recruitment processes, leading to delays and increasing the risk of corruption. The committee recommends that the Ministry of Local Government, together with Public Service Commission, should ensure that all commissions are fully constituted for efficient service delivery in local governments. Number two, on delays in Public Service Commission approval processes. The report highlights delays by the Public Service Commission in approving Service Commission nominees, often without providing reasons for rejection. This lack of transparency and delayed approvals impede the recruitment process and affect service delivery. In Moyo, delays in submitting approved names to the Service Commission were noted, attributed to negligence. The committee also noted poor grievance handling by the Public Service Commission, which has been slow in responding to appeals, leading to prolonged disputes and inefficiencies. The committee therefore recommends the following. One, the Public Service Commission should fast-track the approval of Service Commission appointees. When appointees are rejected, the Service Commission should provide clear justification and recommendation to local governments on the criteria needed for approval. Two, the Ministry of Public Service should establish and enforce clear guidelines on the timelines for submitting nominees for District Service Commission membership and ensure prompt approval by the Public Service Commission nomination once nominations are made by the district councils. Three, the Public Service should handle appeals before it within the timelines stipulated under the law and should give a report to the committee on all appeals handled by it every financial year and a summary of such appeals. Right Honourable Speaker, on number three, we look at inadequate funding for District Service Commission and City Service Commissions. Right Honourable Speaker, District Service Commission and City Service Commission face significant funding shortfalls and late releases. While the government provided an additional 25 million shilling for each service commission in this current financial year, this is still inadequate given their responsibilities. Low retainer fees, sometimes as low as 30,000 shilling per month in certain districts, especially in Karamoja, compromise the independence and integrity of commission members, leading to potential corruption. Committee recommendations: the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development and Public Service Commission should consider an increase in funding for service commissions from the consolidated fund to reduce reliance on local revenue. 2, Ministry of Public Service and Ministry of Finance should consider a monthly remuneration for members of Service Commission, just like the chairperson. Right Honourable Speaker, only the chairpersons get emoluments monthly, while the other members stay only with the retainer. This will help to motivate the members and attract competent persons to occupy those positions. 3, Minister of Finance should ensure that the funds of the commissions are released promptly to enable the district and city service commissions execute their mandates effectively. 4, lack of independence. Right Honourable Speaker, district service commissions and city service commissions are supposed to operate independently, but they face undue influence from political leaders, technical staff and communities. Allegations of corruption and bribery are common in almost all local governments, especially in handling recruitment processes, although most of them are not formally reported and most times evidence are not provided. The committee recommends the following. 1, roll out the e-recruitment system across all local governments to reduce physical interactions and corruption. 2, anti-corruption agencies should strengthen reporting mechanisms and take action to ensure recruitment integrity. 3, the Inspector General of Government and other agencies should conclude investigations into irregularities swiftly to maintain service delivery efficiency. 5, operational challenges. Right Honourable Speaker, many district and city service commissions face operational challenges such as understaffed secretariat, lack of appropriate office space and inadequate equipment, things like computers and storage and cabinets and so on. Most local governments lack essential staff and office resources, forcing them to borrow from technical officers, which in turn compromises confidentiality and independence of the Commission. Recommendation: the Ministry of Public Service and Local Government should ensure that the Service Commissions have sufficient staff, office space, furniture and equipment to ensure their functionality. Number 6 is lack of training and induction. Right Honourable Speaker, just to take you a summary of that, we found out that most of the Service Commission in the districts and cities did not receive training. And we recommend that the Minister of Public Service and Public Service Commission should ensure that all the Commission members are inducted immediately after assuming office and receive continuous training to effectively execute their mandates. On terms of reference number 2, level of effectiveness of the Service Commission in handling appointments, promotion, and disciplinary actions. Local governments generally reported appointments, promotion, and disciplinary actions are handled promptly and in accordance with the law. Mechanisms to ensure fairness and transparency, such as merit-based recruitment, public advertisement, and feedback channels like suggestion boxes, are in place. However, the effectiveness of these mechanisms varies. There is a lack of effective formal mechanism to address citizens' concern related to the recruitment processes. Complaints committees are often non-functional in many of these entities, and the entities lack proper filing, archiving, and record-keeping systems. Recommendations: accounting officers should ensure that the complaint committees are duly constituted and functional and empowered to address the concerns of the people in their areas of jurisdiction. 2, the entities should strictly follow or continue to strictly follow the guidelines on recruitment to ensure transparency and open feedback channels. On terms of reference number 3, Right Honourable Speaker, on recruitment processes and staffing gaps. 3.1, recruitment. The committee noted that while local governments claim that recruitment, promotion, and disciplinary processes were transparent and followed public service guidelines, many issues of corruption, favoritism, and nepotism were reported. Allegations were made during public interactions, such as a radio show on Voice of Lao, where a caller accused the commission members of soliciting bribes like 5 million shilling to guarantee jobs. The Service Commission chairpersons denied the allegations, attributing such allegations to disgruntled applicants who did not qualify for the position. However, the committee found out scenarios pointing to nepotism and favoritism where children or relatives of commission chairpersons, commission members, and staff were appointed despite having less or no years of experience compared to other applicants, and where other applicants who were not qualified candidates were sidelined. There were also scenarios where candidates who failed aptitude tests and interviews were nonetheless appointed, and we found this in Gulu District, Right Honorable Speaker, where several people who failed interviews ended up getting appointment instead of those who passed. There were also raising concerns about the fairness of the process. On the other hand, the committee discovered that non-local candidates or people who do not come from areas, specific areas where the interviews are carried out, were being discriminated against. Right Honorable Speaker, the committee also noted cases where jobs that should have been internally advertised were advertised externally, neglecting the existing experienced staff. Some job adverts even fail to list job experience or some important qualifications as a requirement for job positions, even at senior level. In some cases, key documents like independent score sheets were missing on their recruitment files during the committee's interview. A general concern was noted, Right Honorable Speaker, that local governments deliberately keep positions vacant and ring-fenced for years until their preferred candidates meet the qualifications. The committee recommends the following. 1. The Minister of Public Service should ensure that members of the District and City Service Commission implicated in corruption tendencies and investigation by anti-corruption agencies should step aside until such investigations are concluded to preserve the integrity of the Commission and to prevent intermeddling in evidence. 2. The police CIDs, in relation with Public Service Commission, should investigate the appointments that have been highlighted in the report with a view of possible prosecution. Right Honorable Speaker, we have attached and we referred several of these matters to the police, and we appeal to Parliament to ensure as recommended. 3, the committee acknowledged that being a child or a relative of a civil servant or politician should not be a barrier for employment. However, all applicants should have equal employment opportunities based on merit. 4, the investigation by the IGG and other corruption agencies, anti-corruption agencies, should be concluded and pending reports should be released. Right Honorable Speaker, we realize in many districts there are several investigations and have taken so long, and so all the processes get affected. Right Honorable Speaker, on 32 factors affecting staffing in the district and cities, the committee noted the following. Failure to attract staffing in key positions. There were difficulties in filling critical roles like the district health officers and district engineers due to low wages and high qualification requirements. For example, districts like Kole and Bukwo struggle to retain staff in hard-to-reach areas. The committee recommends the following. Minister of Public Service working with professional bodies should review the requirements for recruitment of critical positions such as district engineers with a view of addressing the challenge of failure to attract registered engineers at local government level. This will address the gap where currently there are only 25 substantially appointed district engineers across the entire country. The rest are all acting. There should be special consideration for hard-to-reach areas. On long acting periods and delayed promotions, Right Honorable Speaker, staff often remain in acting positions and on assignment beyond the period mandated under the law and also face delays in promotion. There are local governments that have not had substantive staff for many years, and local governments have no heads of department. Mr. Speaker, we discovered, like in Arua district, there is only one head of department, substantial appointed, and is due for retirement next month. The rest have been acting. Right Honorable Speaker, the committee recommends that local governments should, subject to the relevant laws and guidelines, enable accelerated promotion for qualified and deserving staff, especially those that have been in acting capacity and assignment for long. On junior staff in acting position, Right Honorable Speaker, the committee discovered in local governments that junior staff are often appointed to high-level positions due to favoritism and political interference, despite the presence of qualified senior staff. This practice has been observed in districts such as Gulu, Pade, and Noya, and is detrimental to staff morals and career development. These junior staff make blatant errors while acting in such positions because they lacked the requisite expertise for such offices. Right Honorable Speaker, the committee recommends that assignments and acting duties should be based on seniority, experience, and merit. Number 4, impact of low pay and discriminatory...
Honorable Chair, I have a suggestion. This is a critical report that is cross-cutting the whole country. I would propose that since you've captured this part, okay, we take it from there, then we discuss it when we resume Parliament. I wouldn't want to rush this, and then we give members a chance to read the report in full. Once we resume, because the issue of public service commissions across the country, it's a very, very big issue. So that now we save time, and we got issues of northern Uganda only. Okay, 2 minutes, then we conclude.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for your guidance. In just 2 minutes, when you look at the issue of the impact of discriminatory payment, we have provided details. But let me mention this, Right Honorable Speaker, and in the interest of time, because the rest are with the members and you can look through. Right Honorable Speaker, with your permission, I would like to note that the committee also interacted with pensioners in northern Uganda, and if you will permit, Right Honorable Speaker, we have the representatives of the pensioners who have been here from day one because they have been making follow-up on a number of the issues they raised.
Read that part.
Right Honorable Speaker, on effectiveness in ensuring pensioners' access to payroll and payment of arrears. Pension management is problematic, Right Honorable Speaker, with delays in accessing the pension payroll due to data migration issues and other bureaucratic hurdles. Some local governments reported that the transition to the human capital management system delayed pension payment. There were pension arrears reported in these regions, but were largely attributed to errors in pensioners' biodata and budget cuts. Indexation of pension is not being done effectively, and despite review of salaries, pensions are not being reviewed to match the new salaries. We recommend the following, Right Honorable Speaker, that the Minister of Public Service should reform the pension system to ensure timely pension payments, execute the indexation of pension as per the law required, and adjust pension amount in line with salary increment for public servants. Mr. Speaker, sir, in conclusion, the committee has done a comprehensive report and highlighted with example from the requisite local government all areas of concern in that report with the corresponding recommendations. The committee calls upon the government to address the critical issues raised in this report and ensure smooth operation of all local governments to restore confidence of the citizens in service delivery and the recruitment processes in the country. Mr. Speaker, I am not afraid to say on behalf of the committee that the citizens of this country, and especially in the districts we covered, have lost confidence in the recruitment processes, and government needs to take this seriously. And finally, Mr. Speaker, sir, if you will find it prudent, Through you, I would like to recognize the presence of Mr. Nyego Paulinos, who is aiding the team of pensioners here, together with Mr. Ogal Olwedo, Mr. Menya, Mr. Menya, all the way from Kampala. There are quite a number of them. You will forgive me, I will not be able to mention all their names. Mr. Speaker, sir, thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, when we are debating in Kampala, they can come back and witness the debate. Because, Honorable colleagues, this is a very, very salient issue. Like I've seen Honorable Pascal Menya had a list she wanted to lay on table of how people have not received their gratuity and, you know, but rules can't allow, that would require me opening debate. So this one we shall handle it when we resume. Honorable colleagues, I suspend the House for 20 minutes maximum. Otherwise I would have done 20 minutes, because there are colleagues who have not moved at all, so that we can have quick lunch and we come back 20 minutes, because we shall be remaining with only 1 hour to finish the rest.